Hello, everyone in my chat, and hello to Mr. Hart Fisher. Welcome.
Good to be here. Good to be here.
We were talking for a while, but we're going to pretend we weren't talking for a while and start all over again. How are you doing today? Tell my chat.
It's been very, very busy. You know, we just launched the Big Book of Dahmer campaign on Indiegogo. It's my first time working with Indiegogo, and the Netflix special on Dahmer has got people so stirred up. It changed my whole schedule. I had a different timeline of what I was going to be publishing at Boneyard, and because of the Netflix special, and frankly, I thought it'd be funny to do this campaign leading into Thanksgiving.
Oh, that is funny. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, that's funny. You know, it's Thanksgiving, and Abby here from All Booking and Promotions, who's working on promoting the campaign with me, she was letting me know that Dahmer was murdered on November 24th. So we had already planned on doing a special on Thanksgiving. Anybody who backs us with a physical product backing, we were going to throw in as a perk Jeffrey Dahmer baby bibs.
Baby bibs?
Yep, Jeffrey Dahmer baby bibs to keep in the notion of cannibalism and Thanksgiving and eating, to play into this whole notion of what Dahmer is, and especially after that special on Netflix, you know, they really threw me under the bus. They really threw my books under the bus, and it's been 30 years since I first published this book, so it's been very weird dealing with these feelings again and dealing with these emotions. Most people don't know that in the middle of the controversy, my girlfriend was raped and murdered. So I spent the 90s as a witness in this terrible sex crime to keep her rapist murderer in prison, 3 different murder trials over the course of a decade. So it's interesting for people to tell me I'm insensitive, or it's interesting for me to see the way they portrayed this, because the people who made this series, they know what happened. So they purposely portrayed me in this light. They purposely disparaged the books. There's even a moment in there in the Netflix special in episode 10 where they're talking about the Jeffrey Dahmer versus Jesus Christ comic book. Now, most people don't know why I did the book. Well, I did the Dahmer versus Christ book because I had legal fees. The victims' families had sued me. I was a bouncer at a bar, and I needed money to pay for the lawyers to defend myself in court. So that's the sole reason there were sequels to the Dahmer books at all. I mean, I was dealing with this murder trial. I was dealing with the emotions of my first love being raped and murdered, and it being
from your poetry, it's very clear, because you've published that quite a bit, and I followed that. From your poetry, it's very clear that you are a man who understands, how I don't want this to sound weird, but you're a man who understands like the depth of anger, but also like love and frustration. So it's kind of sad that they would do that. I haven't watched it though. I deleted my Netflix like years ago.
I keep an eye on them. Their competition. And I gotta admit, I love those Dave Chappelle comedy specials. Dave Chappelle is so damn funny. His appearance on Saturday Night Live just slayed me. Just absolutely slayed me. So I like the comedy.
I'd rather pirate stuff though.
Yeah, and they do a pretty good job with their true crime programming, and their action films are fun. The rest of it is kind of soft for me. A lot of the original Netflix programming doesn't have an edge. And
what about the Guillermo del Toro Pinocchio?
I haven't seen that.
Cool. Well, it hasn't come out yet, I don't think, but I think it's December. But they released a trailer.
Cabinet of Curiosities. That's something I want to watch.
Yeah, it's all stop motion.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it looks really cool. Like, it looks 1,000 times more heartfelt than the thing that Disney just like pooped out.
Well, I also feel like, they got Love, Death, and Robots, that animated series, and I think those are really good. Those are damn good. Some very hard stories in there. I think that stuff is really well done.
They just doubled down on that Cuties movie?
That's not really. I'm not gonna. Why would I watch that? That's not really my thing.
I know. I wouldn't either,
women.
but they just like stuck by it, and I was like, I just can't support that, so I just deleted it. I was like, I'm over Netflix. I'd just rather watch stuff from indie creators. I'm gonna say hi to my chat really quick because I've got a lot of people in here. Some person is in here. He comes around a lot. He's saying you look like this guy Takome, but I don't think you do.
Look like who?
He's just another creator.
Okay.
He does like video games and card games. I did a voiceover for his card game where I played an Elvira character.
Oh, cool.
Richard is here. Hello, Richard. Apparently, I should have saved you for Valentine's Day so that you can be the fisher of everyone's heart.
Uh-oh.
You're gonna make him blush, Richard.
No, you won't. I pose naked, so in a grocery store, and I pose naked at the. Have you guys ever seen The Big Lebowski?
Yeah.
Okay, so that movie, The Big Lebowski, where they bowl All-Star Lanes in Los Angeles. I used to live in LA. So part of one of our stunts for the poetry, because FHM magazine was doing an article about the crazy poet, and they wanted some crazy shots. So we did a whole thing with me posing at a grocery store, Ralph's in Los Feliz, naked. And then we did the same thing at All-Star Lanes where they shot The Big Lebowski, only I had a big fur coat on, and we got the lane all the way into the alley. And we were, it was league night. It happened to be league night. So I've got these girls dressed in their Catholic school outfits, but they're adults. They totally look like adults, but they got the cute little skirts. And they're holding like bowling balls up in front of my junk and stuff. And that shit was pretty damn funny. We had a lot of fun doing that. So it's kind of hard to make me blush.
Okay, they'll keep that in mind. They want to know if you're a wrestler.
Well, I did train with Judo Jean the Bell, and I have been friends with Ronda Rousey's mother for, I think over a decade now. Anne Maria DeMars, Dr. DeMars, and I are old friends and good friends. And hey, Anne Maria, if you see this, miss you, because she's out in Los Angeles.
How tall are you?
I'm 6'2".
How tall is she?
Rhonda?
Yeah.
I don't know, but Anne Maria is tiny.
Okay.
Tiny. And she's choked me out. I met her at Go Davichian's Highest On Academy in Los Angeles.
Well, if she's doing judo, she could hold her own against you for sure.
Who, Rhonda?
Her mom, right?
Oh, Jesus, her mom could probably kill me. Her mom is known as Broken Arm Annie because she has 9 broken arms to her credit.
You're not one of those.
I won't admit to what I've broken on other human beings on camera. I've been in plenty of fights in my life. I grew up on the south side of Chicago. So about the wrestling, yeah, I'm trained in grappling and judo and jiu-jitsu and Russian sambo, and I have a black belt in taekwondo.
They want you to do the, can you smell what the heart is drinking?
Can you smell what the heart is drinking? I can't imitate The Rock. I'd have to do some other, snap into a Slim Jim.
What?
I could fall into this persona, and you guys will be stuck with me, like doing the whole macho man, Randy Savage, Elizabeth. Damn it, Abby! I need more water here. You get up in the kitchen, woman, and you get me some water. Why I oughta
pass.
Yeah, right. No, I'm not. And I'm sitting here next to me is my Henry and Glenn Forever collected edition. Thank you. If you guys have never heard of this comic book, you will laugh your ass off. It's a whole book about Henry Rollins and Glenn Danzig as gay lovers. It is so funny because a lot of the guys who drew this book and did this book, they know Glenn, and I know Glenn Danzig. I've been friends with Glenn and worked with Glenn for fucking almost 30 years.
So he thinks it's funny?
Everybody says that Glenn won't talk about it.
Oh, okay.
I haven't had the chance to talk to him about it. I picked up the book when I was leaving town, and since I'm not in LA anymore, I don't run into him very often. You know what I mean? So I kept telling the guys, I'm like, I'm going to fucking ask him. I want to know what he thinks of this book. And they're like, dude, don't do that. Don't do that. Because I'm kind of known as a guy that'll say fucking anything to fucking anyone. I kind of have that reputation. Oh, it's okay for me to curse, right?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
This isn't a children's channel. It's okay.
Okay. Yeah.
That's why I'm doing it at midnight.
There you go. That's the way to go. Because, I used to do political radio, and it was Heart Attack Radio. And we were on Saturday night because we could curse and swear. And I was kind of like the angry Lewis Black guy. And, it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
That's funny, though, because, like, if you watch you on, what was it, Sally Jesse Raphael or whatever,
mm-hmm.
you're just very mild-mannered and chill, and you're just talking.
You wouldn't. Where I grew up on the south side of Chicago, I grew up with a lot of violence. I've been the victim of violent crime. I've been beaten up plenty of times. I've had 3 guys work me over in an alley. Shit has happened. And so when you go through those things in life, what that idiot in the audience saying to you just isn't that important. You realize that this is a game. When you're on those talk shows, when like doing the Dahmer book, I'm honestly surprised that they even had my Dahmer comics in the Netflix special. I'm kind of shocked that it even be in there. I don't really know how that's part of his story. I think that's a side story, and I think it's a big part of why I did the campaign.
Did they mention the comics in the show, or was it just the picture? Because I saw when you shared the picture and you were like, why are you sharing my cover? But it's wrong.
They photoshopped their own actor into the main cover, but they still misrepresented the product. They misrepresented my company. They talked ill about me, and they talked ill about the.
Oh, you're mentioned in it?
Huh?
You're mentioned in it?
They keep my name out, but they're talking about me. They're like in episode 10, there's a whole thing where they pull the Jeffrey Dahmer versus Christ cover out. And they subtly photoshopped it. It's weird. It's weird, too, because I drew the cover. It's my artwork. And it's weird to look at it and go, wait a minute. Did they fucking Photoshop my artwork? And they did. They Photoshopped it in a weird way. I'm not quite sure why they did it. But they still made it look like my comic just a little. They just Photoshopped it a little bit. And they talked shit about me. They talked shit about me. And I'm this terrible person. And I'm this horrible person. I'm grandiosing.
They did you're putting them on a pedestal thing again that they did to you 30 years ago.
They're making him into a superhero now. No, I'm not. In the Jeffrey Dahmer versus Jesus Christ book, I'm not a fan of Dahmer. I'm not a fan of him. Not a fan of serial killer. I'm not in. It's not my thing. It isn't my identity. They're killers. They kill people. They're douchebags. They fucking rape kids. They're pieces of shit. They're scraping off my shoe, man, and forget it. So it's not always the thing that I'm that into. And so for them to be like, oh, he's going to turn him into a superhero now. And they do this really, they really misrepresent the book because they go, oh, I'm not going to read this book, but Lord, I hope Jesus wins. Well, assholes, Jesus does win, and you fucking know it, and you know Jesus wins. So why are you portraying it that he might not win? Yeah, you're purposely misleading the audience to create this idea that I'm this asshole, that I'm this insensitive dick, when they all know I went through all the murder and all the different deaths, and they already know all this stuff. My wife passed away in 2018 after a terrible battle with colon cancer and severe anemia. It hasn't all been happiness and puppies and kittens over here. So I've dealt with a lot of really rough stuff. And I've had to deal with stalkers. And so it's interesting for them to demonize me over this material that is way more lurid on their special. Oh, yeah. Their whole knock on me is, how dare he represent these crimes in this lurid, evil way in this 24-page black and white comic book, guys. And it's nowhere near as terrible that they say. And the book right on page 1 says, I think this guy's garbage. I really am upset with the way he's portrayed in the media. So this knock on me has been a total fabrication from the beginning. Yeah. And the media manipulation and cancel culture and the Twitter wars are just that times 10, you know? So I feel like for me to come back with these works, it's really important for me to be able to get the book into somebody's hands so they can read it for themselves, and they'll go, man, this isn't as terrible as they said it was. I thought I was going to get this really evil, mean, and it's not. It's not. And then the spoof books are goofy, you know, Dahmer Zombie Squad, and Jeffrey Dahmer versus Jesus Christ. The idea is Dahmer is representing as the Antichrist, and Jesus comes back for the second coming, and they duke it out on the White House lawn, and it's all the forces of evil and good fight each other. And it's very much like a Mel Brooks Blazing Saddles movie or Young Frankenstein.
That sounds about right.
It's a satire. And it's like you put that in with Monty Python's Meaning of Life or Monty Python's Holy Grail and throw that in a blender, and that's Jeffrey Dahmer versus Jesus Christ. And actually the book is really funny. So I really want people to contribute to this Indiegogo campaign for the Big Book of Dahmer so they could read these books for themselves. And also there's great add-ons because have you seen me posting about an American Horror Story?
Yes, of course I have.
Okay, so for the people at home who might not know this, in 2009, I was contacted by In Cold Blog. It was the #1 true crime blog site in the world at that time. And it was put together by the late, great Corey Mitchell, who was a best-selling true crime writer. And my editor was Michelle Mad Dog McKee, who's a Munchausen survivor. One of the things that I could tell you that's been a real pleasure in my life is I have had the joy of, I work with a lot of powerhouse women. I work with a lot of very strong, independent, amazing women. And that's one of the best things about, I think, what makes my company so good and like American Horror so good is because we do have a feminine voice represented in the work. Because I'm such a macho fucking, is this guy a fucking wrestler? Let's go, motherfucker! You know, that kind of thing. It balances me out. It kind of balances out that big male, you know, energy. And so I love it, like Anne Maria. And I had PTSD from all the violence in my life and the violence that's happened to my loved ones. So I have a doctor, and so I'm under care from my doctor, and it's a lieutenant colonel in the Army, and he's a badass Afghanistan war veteran. So I have all these amazing, strong female presences in my life. So the idea that I'm insensitive or that I don't care or any of that, it's an obvious lie perpetuated. And they need a villain in the show is what it is. And I'm a white man with blonde hair and blue eyes. You get what I mean? What was Dahmer?
Well, I thought, wouldn't Dahmer be the villain?
He is the villain, but that wasn't enough for them.
Oh.
And part of the reason I had a conflict with the victims' families is they were being manipulated by the religious leaders in their area, and they were being manipulated by lawyers that were looking for a fast buck. And these folks really liked being on television.
Well, and you mentioned on there too, like the people who had them on TV were manipulating them as well for $1.
Yes. Yeah, they totally did that. And that's on the Sally Jesse clip. If somebody wants to see that, it's on YouTube. My YouTube channel, youtube.com/crime pays HART. And that's HART. And it's got all those clips on there. And I hit Sally with it immediately. You know, I did this Jeffrey Dahmer book. It only had a 4,000 print run for the first printing. And the second printing only had a 10,000 print run. So there's no way this book is going to reach that many people. There's just no way. 14,000 copies in the world at large, that's just not going to reach a lot of people. But a person from the media bought the book and ambush interviewed the victims' families at their doorstep, like jamming the book in their face. Does this upset you? And then manipulating them to create this controversy so they could sell orange juice. And so Sally Jesse Raphael wants these victims' families to experience pain for her audience to get off and be gratified by their fresh tears. That's what the whole industry is on those talk show mills. When you're there and you see what happens backstage and you see how devastated people are after their appearance on the show, it's just sickening. It's absolutely sickening. So the fact that I have been demonized 30 damn years later over the same.
You're like, I thought this was over.
Yeah, I did. I didn't print the book before. Like I could have kept the book in print. I felt it had its life, and I felt I was okay to let it go. But then when they brought it all back up, and it's 30 years later, and you're going to demonize me again, and I'm like, you guys are lying about these books. You are lying about the content of these books, and you're lying about me, and you're lying about my character, of who I am as a person. So the only way for me to defend myself is to make these books available. And that's what the Indiegogo campaign's all about.
Leading into that, Richard wants to know what it was like being on Jerry Springer.
It was pretty surreal. The funny thing about Springer is Springer shot in Chicago. So my father got to be there. So my father and a lot of my friends were there. And so my dad's in the audience. And at one point, one of the people in the audience, one of the audience members in his dashiki and his costume stands up and he goes, I want to know what kind of piece of shit raised you. How do you like that?
And your dad's there.
My dad's there. Okay.
You're like, well.
Oh, I'm so terrible. How evil of me to do a comic book. Oh, no. I did a comic book about a serial killer that all the newspapers were covering. Court TV was covering. It was in all the news broadcasts. But heaven forbid Hart Fisher does a black and white independent comic. You know what that is? They want to keep the money. Netflix wants to keep the money. Isn't it hilarious that they're demonizing me on their show that is far more exploitive than anything I've ever done? Same with the talk show mill, Sally Jesse Raphael, Jerry Springer. Jerry was completely disingenuous. Jerry knew exactly what he was doing. Jerry, because, you know, you're backstage and they want you to fight. They're telling you, stick by your opinions. They want you to.
They always had the audience yell fight too, right?
This is right before then. This is right before that. In fact, on Sally Jesse's show, they had a fist fight that they didn't show. A grown adult woman assaulted and battered a teenager, a 16-year-old girl. And I couldn't even understand. I'm like, how can you not be in jail? You just assaulted and battered
a child. Uh-oh. Oh, no. I think his internet messed up, you guys. Yikes. He's like looking off into the sunset. Hello. Yikes. Yeah, he's frozen. I guess I'll wait. Jerry Springer hacked his router. Ah! Come back! Well, let me see. Go and see what's going on. Come back, buddy. Well, hi, everyone. I didn't get to ask him the funny joke yet that Richard has said, but I will. In the meantime, I do have the campaign linked. His books are usually not reprinted. So it's kind of cool that he would reprint this one. Fun fact. So this guy, Hart Fisher, that is frozen and probably rebooting or something. He is he's part of the reason why I decided to make the EGGBEATER comic book. I was trying to make it into a movie, and it was just not coming together, partially because movies are so expensive. And he was my friend on Facebook, because I knew about, you know, his horror movie channel and the the festival that he does every year and all of his books and stuff. And I wrote him and I was like, hey, you know, what do you think I should do? You know? And I brought up the idea of like, could I just make EGGBEATER into a comic book? You know, that'd be cheaper and faster. You know, I've been trying to do this for years and years. And he said he encouraged me to do that. So, and he's back.
Sorry about that. My internet. I'm in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, and there's a radio tower not too far from my property, and I lose my internet, and it just goes out, and I don't know what it is. It just goes, and then it comes back. So sorry about that, guys at home.
That's okay. They had to deal with me.
Right,
Richard, we were talking about
shows.
Yeah. You were in the middle of
a whole rant.
Echo. I'm echoing.
You're echoing, or I'm echoing?
I'm echoing through your computer.
I will turn you down. But it didn't do that before, did it?
No.
Weird.
So you were saying about the 16-year-old girl that got assaulted.
That got assaulted and battered on the Sally Jesse Raphael show. I fail to understand how the police aren't called or for these. So it's okay for you, Sally Jesse Raphael. It's all right for you to facilitate the assaulting and battering of an underage girl who is not an adult, who is an adolescent, and you think that's okay, and then you're going to yell at me and call me a piece of crap? These talk show people are the dirtiest, scummiest, lowest bottom of the barrel. They're disgusting. So what's it like when you do these talk shows? You need a fucking shower when you're done. That's what the fuck. It's disgusting. It's sickening when you see it. It makes you sick because you see the people backstage crying, and these are human beings. This isn't acting. This isn't real. These are real people that are really hurting. And especially with true crime and true crime trauma, it's just, it horrified me, and it put me in a position where I was much more ready to go on the attack when I went on these shows. So if I looked calm, it's from my Taekwondo training. I was breathing backstage, and I was getting ready to get into a fight. Because you walk out on that stage, they've got guys that are in the audience that work for Jerry Springer, that work for the production. And their job is to stir up the audience. Their job is to stir them up and get everybody to know that you're the villain. You are the straw man. You are the wicker man. You're the one. They get to take out all their terrible, sick angers on you because you're the safe target. And so you get on the stage, and they've been frothing these people up for the first 20 minutes at least because they shoot it like it's live. So it's very much like a live production. And they break for commercial, and you're sitting up there next to all these people, and you're not supposed to be fighting no more. So you got to be like, all right, hey, what'd you have for lunch? Okay. Hey, how's it going?
It sounds surreal.
It is totally surreal. And you know it's a game. You know what, you figure it out, and you realize you learn their script. And through their script, I would work with my friends, my buddies, and we'd watch my appearance. And my buddies would tear me apart. They'd shred me, man. They'd be making fun of me and making jokes. And they're like, well, we know they're going to ask this question. So when they ask this question, you need to have this answer. You need to have that answer. You know what I mean? That's why a lot of times, and I also felt that talk shows were the only place where I could actually like communicate without having the production change everything. Because when I was on CNN's documentary, Murder by Numbers, those scumbags were editing my answers for one question as it was an
into
answer
another
other question. And that's how they did it. They would rejigger your answers to different questions to create the narrative they want. And I've seen that just get worse and worse. And it's just, you can't trust the mainstream media. You cannot trust Pfizer. You cannot trust any of these quote voices. It's all a shuck and jive. It's a game. And
so if there was no
Jerry knew that, and Jerry Springer knew that. Sally was pious. She was all on her high horse, but Jerry knew what he was doing.
Sure. So if there wasn't YouTube and stuff now, you'd probably be back on a talk show, or would you just like?
Well, you know, you might have noticed there's a bit of a media blackout on me. Have you noticed there's a media blackout on me? How come none of you guys know that Billie Eilish grew up next door to me? How come
I knew that because I
followed
not
in her bio? How come there's nothing in there about the fact that Billie Eilish, I'm her first director. Hi, I'm Hart Fisher. I launched and created the American Horrors television channels right next door to her. She grew up next door to me. And so she's in one of my music videos that I directed for Herd the Humans. And also, nobody really wants to talk about Gerard Way starting off at Boneyard Press and me mentoring him. They don't really want to talk about these things. And part of it is when I went on Sally Jesse Raphael, I broke the TV rule. I trashed her. I just totally trashed her right on the air. I made her look like a fool. I made her look like an imbecile.
Do they tell you like what you can't say when you're backstage?
No, they go, you know what? This guy isn't as dumb as he looks. This guy is actually educated. You know what? This guy is actually good at debating people. This isn't working out like we planned. He's not the villain we wanted. So when I did Sally, I was booked to do Donahue like the following week. And Donahue's people saw my appearance on Sally. They're like, no, we're not having this guy on the show. He's going to trash Donahue. Because on Jerry Springer, I started winning the audience to my side. I started winning them to my side, and they started clapping for me. And so when the Springer show came on the air, they cut it. They edited it. They edited the editing, the clapping, and they took out stuff where the audience was agreeing with me. They kind of removed it, you know. So it's a complete fabrication, the whole thing. And TV news now is even worse. I mean, it's even worse now. The utter fabrication, the idea that there's a fact checker on Facebook is disgusting. That's absolutely disgusting. I'm supposed to be able to communicate in a way that I want. And I'm using this service. I'm paying for this service by you getting my private information. Yet can you imagine somebody being on your phone? Can you imagine there being a fact checker on your phone when you're talking to your friends?
Oh my God.
Can you imagine that? If there was some jackass going, well, we got to check this, blah, 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 blah. And then you find out the fact checkers aren't actually checking your facts. They're just maintaining the narrative.
Yeah.
It isn't about whether or not it's true. It's about maintaining the narrative that they are trying to instill in you, the viewer or the listener. And it's only gotten worse. And I feel like me coming back now is more important than ever. And I think, 196 million people watched that Netflix Dahmer special in its first week. So 196 million people were
led to believe.
That's their impression of me. If they meet me and find out that I made these books, that's their impression. There was a comic book show that was so nasty about it. The Dahmer book started trending because of the Netflix special. So the Dahmer original biography book, Jeffrey Dahmer, an unauthorized biography of the serial killer by Hart D. Fisher. It started trending and becoming like a major collectible. And so the show, Comic Tom 101, they do the show and they're talking about the Dahmer book, and it's obvious they did not read the book, and they just parroted what they said about me in the Netflix. And they were saying, oh, he's so insensitive. Oh, that guy, that Hart Fisher guy, and they didn't want to use my name. They didn't want to say my name. They just referred to it as Boneyard Press. And ladies and gentlemen, I have quite a record in comics. I did the Kill Image book. I'm the only creator to ever sue Marvel Comics and win. The only one over copyright and trademark infringement. I beat O.J. Simpson in court. Guys haven't heard about that. Why? Gee whiz. So many amazing.
I didn't know you beat O.J.
Started at Boneyard Press. Go ahead, Allie. What'd you say?
I didn't know you beat O.J. I knew about Marvel, but I didn't know you beat O.J. Even I didn't know that.
Yep. I did 2 O.J. books. I did Doing Time with O.J., and I sold them on the courthouse steps during the first trial. And I went up to Robert Shapiro and I gave him one. And then his entire entourage, wearing suits that cost more than my fucking 6 months rent, all wanted books for free. So then I did the sequel, OJ's Big Bust Out. And then they sued me because OJ was trying to trademark OJ, but you can't. It's already in the common vernacular. It's a weak case. So I had a friend that knew an ACLU lawyer, and he hooked me up with this guy, and the guy did me a solid, thank you, brother. And he handled the case for me, and we settled. We settled out of court.
I won. Perfect.
You know, I didn't stop doing the books. I mean, it had run its course. You know what I mean? The Rush Limbaugh Must Die book. Rush Limbaugh gave me a thumbs up on the air because he thought it was funny. Howard Stern versus Rush Limbaugh. I offended Howard Stern, which I'm deeply proud of. Yes, I offended Howard Stern. Yeah.
That maybe that means you're the one who broke him, because like he's a big bitch now.
It's kind of sad what he did to himself. You know, they bought him off. He really screwed himself by getting off of terrestrial radio, by doing the buyout. They put him in a cage. They put him in a paywall, just like Bill Maher. Bill Maher is a fake rebel. He's not a real rebel. He's behind a paywall. He can't really influence the masses that much because they don't have access to him. And that's why this YouTube is really fantastic, because I'm able to reach so many people. But also, how come you guys have never heard about American Horrors? We've been streaming since 2011, a free 24 hours, 7 days a week linear horror channel created by myself and my late wife. And at one time, I was running one channel and Waka was running another. So they talk about all this stuff about women in horror. Guys, we have a woman running American Horrors and is totally in charge. It's not like, you know, honey, I hit my lunchbox. Honey, I don't like that movie you screened. I don't think you should know. She's in charge, man. And if she's in charge, she's fucking in charge. You don't backbite her. You don't backbite your people. You find the right people and you empower them, and you try to look out for their weaknesses. You try to help them out, you know, and that's how you really achieve stuff. So we launched American Horrors as a TV show in 2008. Then we launched it as a TV network in 2011 with Alki David. October 2nd, we went live. And we've been streaming ever since, and we're free. And last year, I had 8 million viewers. That's right, guys. The people at American Horrors, we had 8 million viewers. And off the top of my head, it's been a long day. I think we had, like, the average watch time per viewer last year was 32 minutes. Is it 32 minutes per viewer? Average watch time on YouTube is 5 seconds. So we're hitting 8 million viewers around the world. We are worldwide. And now I've
got more viewers than a lot of the mainstream channels now, too.
I'm sorry, what'd you say, Allie? I was talking.
You have more viewers than a lot of the mainstream, like, you know, channels now, too.
Yeah, and I think that's part of it. I think that's part of why Ryan Murphy, the producer of the Dahmer thing, kept my name out, because I've been doing American Horror since 2008. And we're doing good. You know, we launched American Horrors Classic. In fact, on Friday night, this week, on Friday night, I'm going to be playing the Billie Eilish special that we did with the music video that she's in. She's like 8 years old or 9 years old. It's from 2009. And we're shooting at Craven Moorhead's house. And it's Peter North's house, who is a porn star. And we're shooting this music video that's all about how there's this rapey asshole who gives a girl a roofie and he kills her. And she's Death. So she plays Death. Because I'm a big fan of the Neil Gaiman series. You know, I really like it. I think it's great.
Did you like the show?
Huh?
Did you like the show?
I haven't had a chance to watch it. I've been so busy with all the stuff happening with American Horrors and with Boneyard Press. Don't? Well, I know Neil. I've gotten to fuck with Neil a couple of times at shows and stuff, because I started in comics in 1991. I've been a comics fan since I was 5 years old. And I love horror. Horror is such a passion for me, and such a savior too, because horror has really been there for me to help me get through a lot of stuff, to help me process a lot of the crazy shit I went through as a kid.
I got I got Neil Gaiman's signature.
Nice.
He called me a racist on Twitter.
A racist, huh?
Yeah, because I pointed out how he changed Death in the show. They cast a black chick, and I said, but now she's not Death anymore. and he called me a racist.
In my opinion about that kind of thing, the idea of death and the portrayal in the comic books is, my understanding of it was that this is a representation of death. So therefore, wouldn't death change depending on
she does
around?
But
you know,
but in her house, that's how she appears. She can change how she looks however she wants, but when she's in her own house, she's the goth girl that was based on Cinnamon Hadley. And also, I just didn't like when I did give it a chance. I watched it, and I just thought that her portrayal was boring.
Okay, I could understand that, because that's really what it comes down to at the end of the day. I don't care if the character. I mean, okay, for me, I'm only offended if you change an established character for a bump. You didn't do it because the character's story arc led them there, or the character evolved into this and it's part of who they are. You know what I mean? Like, I've got so many gay friends, and I think it's insulting to them when you just take a character and you're like, okay, well, we're going to make Superman's guy, he's going to have a kid and he's going to be gay. And of course the gay guy has to have pink hair. I'm like,
yeah, everybody in Marvel's gay now.
Why does he have to have pink hair? What is this cliche that you're doing? Because, God, my gay friends are all so multifaceted. They've got so many different personality quirks and stuff. And, they don't fit into this thing that they're doing in the media. So I feel that their portrayal is artificial, and they're doing it like tokenism. The idea of tokenism.
Exactly.
And that's how I feel about a lot of it. But I don't care that
that's how it felt. That's how it felt watching the show. Like, Death in the books, and I have all of them. That's what, like, my nickname used to be Death when I lived in Colorado. That's what people called me when I go to the clubs and stuff, because I did my eye like that and everything. And I'm quite a bit younger than you, so take that into consideration.
I'm a big goth fag. I am. I'll take it. Call me a goth fag. I am. Go ahead. I am. I totally had the long vampire nails, and I wore all the clothes and went to all the clubs, and I did the, ooh, look at me, I'm a vampire.
The dance, like when you're at the club
Mother
and
Russia,
dancing like that.
Mother Russia. I've got oh God, I'm a big goth. I like that music. I like that scene.
Sure.
And actually, what I liked about goth was it really seemed to embrace everybody. It really just embraced everybody. It didn't matter if you're black, white. It didn't matter if you were Mexican or if you were gay or straight. It didn't matter what you were. It seemed like goth was really filled with outsiders coming together and trying to deal. And a lot of them were dealing with goofy, weird shit in their lives. So I really I like the scene. I'm still into the scene. It sucks there is no goth club for me to go to out here in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin.
Not here either.
And I think it was my understanding that Neo was the last goth place in Chicago. But I'm not going to drive 2 hours to go to a goth club.
Right. So in the books though, Death is spunky. She's cheerful. She's kind, but she's also fun. It was sort of a dichotomy. But in the show, she's just boring. She's flat. She just kind of talks very boring. And she's it wasn't quirky and fun Death. It was just I
didn't like the Black Panther movie.
They just put a girl in black jeans and they were like, okay, say the lines. That's how it played out. And I was like, this is this is not enjoyable. That was actually the worst episode that they had, and everything else is just wrong. It was boring.
It's funny because a couple of my friends really liked the show, and they're like, "Hart, you got to check it out. You got to check it out." So that's the weird thing about taste. And for me, doing the horror channel, I don't like all the movies that are on American Horrors, but maybe my late wife liked it, or maybe my buddy, the horror director, Chris J. Miller, loves it. And I'm like, man, these guys are all horror freaks. So if they love this movie, there's got to be something in it for people. And I had to learn. I was kind of a music snob when I was younger, don't you put that Madonna on my stereo, I'll kill you. You know, I was a ruffian a bit. And now I've learned from creating comics and from creating, I worked in advertising for a long time. I worked in packaging. I've been a director. I had a post-production company in Los Angeles. And I just learned that there are different flavors for different folks. And that pizza just wasn't made for me. I'm not an anchovies guy.
My chat, I'm a little behind in them, so I'm going to catch up. Snorrum wants to say, was Steve Wilco there when you were on there? Would you even know?
You mean Springer?
Yeah. Would you even have known, though? Because wasn't he just like a bodyguard before he had his own show?
Yeah, he was there. In fact, I'm going to have to come clean here. I don't know if I've ever talked about this on a talk show before, but when I said that I was more unhinged when I was younger, and once we started to see that there were all these fights on Springer, me and my dumb brother, for a guy who's so smart, sometimes we come up, me and my brother, with some crazy, stupid ideas. And so we saw all these fights happening on Springer, right? So we knew, and I knew I could get back on. So yeah, Steve was there. He was, you know, he's bouncer, but he's a cop. He's off-duty police. So me and my brother got it into our head. I'm a martial artist, so I avoid violence. I really try hard to avoid getting into fights or anything because, you know, I'm a big man and I'm trained.
Well, because you're going to end that fight.
I'm going to end the fight, and it isn't going to be pretty. You know, I've been trained by some of the best in the world. And so we were like, we won't fight with the audience. We're not going to fight with the other guest members. All I need is to get my hands on Springer, and I'm going to break his fucking arm. I'm just going to break his fucking arm and let him go. And then my buddies were like, dude, do you know who does security for Springer? And I'm like, no. They said they're all off-duty Chicago PD. And I'm like, oh, fuck, I can't pull anything like that. They'll fucking take me out in an alley and knock my goddamn teeth out. So I'm like, nope, we're not doing this. This is a stunt that we'll not do.
That was probably a good decision.
I think it was a very wise decision, yes.
Captain Infinity is here. Jeremy is here.
And hey, Dan Pringle here from Boob Dan Art. Dan drew a bunch of Babylon Crush stuff for Boneyard Press. And Dan's good friend. Hey, Dan, how are you, buddy?
And when I found that out, because he still has some of them, I was like, can I get that book from you? He said I could, but he's really busy. Let's see. I look ghoulish. Okay, thank you, I guess.
Well, you just
Finatra
says, Allie to me.
Yeah, this is pretty much Allie. Let's see. There's a link to your Kickstarter.
Yay.
How's my dog? Don't answer sad news. Nope, he's doing great. See him? He got his stitches and they don't seem to be bothering him at all. So he's good. Snorrum has
what's ComicsMate?
ComicsMate? That is Dean James. He's from Australia and he's an artist. He does a comic called The Embrace that you would probably like, actually. It's about a man whose son is killed by like gangsters. And then the son comes back as a ghost and like as an embrace of a ghost and creates like a suit and gives his father powers to like defeat the bad guys. So now, you know, and his son really loved superheroes. So now his son gets to like help his dad be a superhero and it's like a healing sort of comic, but it's really cool. So that's what he does. That's what ComicsMate does.
Okay.
But Snowden said,
I just want to let people know if there's viewers overseas, we're about to add the digital perks to the campaign. I'm adding new perks like every day, every couple of days. I'm adding new perks, and so I know that the cost of shipping has gotten crazy right now. So I'm creating a bunch of digital versions of the Dahmer books. The Big Book of Dahmer, it's going to be collecting all 4 of the Dahmer books. And we've got an introduction from David Hayes, who's a dean at a university, and he's a true crime expert. And then we also are going to be having an epitaphs written by Ethan Van Sciver from Cyberfrog to discuss some of the censorship stuff he went through with the Comics Gate and how he feels that I went through far worse, but he really wanted to talk about that. And so I thought, I knew Ethan back in the day. I enjoyed Cyberfrog back in the 90s. I used to buy those books. They were fun. And so I've known Ethan a long time, and coming back into the industry, it's been great to see his success and see what he's been able, like the toys, the fact that he's been able to make these toys. I'm really happy for him, and like Billy Tucci and Brian Polito and all these dudes that I knew in the industry that have all been very successful in their campaign financing. And it's freeing. Doing the Indiegogo campaign, I get to show the consumer so much more art than if it was just in the retailer catalog. You know what I mean? And it's great to be able to interact with people directly.
It is nice.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you remember way back, you know, it was probably 2018 now, 2017, when I wrote you on Facebook, and I was like, hey, I have my little idea for my movie, and you were just like, that's cool. And then I was like, hey, I think later, I was like, hey, I think I want to turn it into a comic. And your assistant was just like, oh, well, you know, have it. It was a guy. I don't remember his name. I'm sorry. I have a screenshot so that I could look at it later. But he was like, oh, you know, get it done and send it, and it will be read. And I was like, it's going to be read. Okay.
Yeah.
And that was like the thing that set it off, where I was like, okay, now I have to do it. And I'm just going to do it. So I went out and I found an artist, and I was like, I'm doing EGGBEATER now. So yeah, that was why I was excited to see you on Pops the other day, because I was like, oh my gosh, he's back. And when I talk about him now, people are going to know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's interesting how fame works. You could be famous, yet people, it's a big world, you know, and people feel that if you're not The Rock famous, you're not famous. And I would look at them and I go, okay, tell me who Charles Bukowski is. And they go, dur, dur, dur. I'm like, one of the greatest American poets in the last century. You know who he is? He's world famous. They made a bunch of movies from his shit. They made a goddamn Mickey Rourke movie. Oh, that's right. He is famous. You're just ignorant of it. That's okay, though. Not everybody has to know who you are. It's just part of life, you know?
Oh, sweet. Look at it. You've got Plagal telling me that I need to send him the mailing address.
Cool.
I will.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Dan's a real nice guy. Dan's a really nice guy. He is
super nice.
He's a great artist.
HART's Big Book of Dahmer. What was the horror channel name?
American Horrors. American Horrors, all day, all night, all horror. Completely free on your Roku, glued.tv, or online at americanhorrors.net or boneyardpress2020.com.
So now that it might have been Steve, now that we're through the chat, and yes, Snorrum EGGBEATER is going to be weird. Now that we're through the chat, do you want to do your spiel that you were going to do that was like, if you don't know who I am, here's who I am?
Oh, you want me to tell the audience who I am?
Yes. The thing you started to do when we weren't live yet.
All right, well, for the folks at home, hi, I am Hart D. Fisher. I am the only comics creator to ever sue Marvel Comics and win. I beat them over copyright and trademark violations on my title, Dark Angel, back in 92, I think it was. And I had the help of the Hells Angels motorcycle gang. That's a fun story. Kind of funny how that's not common history in common knowledge of comics. I did the Kill Image comics where I murdered Rob Liefeld and Todd McFarlane and Jim Lee. Although I think I only blew off Todd's hand, his drawing hand, with a shotgun. And then I did the Kill Marvel books. I did the Rush Limbaugh Must Die books. I ended up working for Glenn Danzig and running his comic book company, Erotic. And that was an amazing education. I just got to thank Glenn Danzig so much for so many of the opportunities that he's given me over the years and how much fun I've had working with him. I've had a lot of fun working with Glenn over the years. I got to run Verotic. I co-wrote A Taste of Cherry, which is banned as obscene material to this day in the state of Oklahoma. It was in the pages of Verotica #4. And that if you want to read about that, go to Evil Speak magazine on Amazon and get yourself a copy. They did it in one of the best articles about the Planet Comics bust. And I think any artist should get that and read and find out how you could do a story. You could do a horror story and you think it's fine. You think you're golden. Oh, I'm glad that you like Verotic. That's awesome. Verotic was great. I got to work on the Death Dealer book with Simon Bisley. Cool. Although Simon kept trying to call me Hartley. And I'm like, dude, it's Hart. Hartley. Stop it, Simon. It's Hart. Really? But that was fun working with Simon and all the great people at Verotic. I learned so much working over there. And I got to have a budget. You know, it was the first time in my life I was publishing comic books with a real budget and working with all the top
I bet that
artists.
Felt really nice.
Mm-hmm. It felt really good. And I really found out over the years, you don't know what's going to create a controversy. I had no idea the Jeffrey Dahmer book was going to flip people out. I published that in March.
What was the first, like, what was the spark that gave you the idea to do it?
It was Dan Mattson at North Star Studios. North Star is where Faust started, David Quinn and Tim Vigil. I've known David and Tim since they first did the first Faust book, because Dan was my childhood friend. We went to grade school together and junior high, and we went to high school together. And so Dan Mattson, it was his idea to do the Dahmer book. And the Dahmer versus Christ book, it was William Christian from Avatar. It was his idea. Rush Limbaugh Must Die, that idea was my little brother and my friend Nick Wiggins, a tattoo artist, who actually tattooed my back. My whole back is done. And it was Nick's idea. I listen to people. You know, you hang out and you're laughing and you're throwing ideas around, and I go, whoa, that's funny. We got it. I take out the pen and I start writing stuff down, and we all start joking and laughing with each other. And I hang out with a lot of fun, intelligent people.
That's kind of how Egg Beater started too. Was like, I just found this old, you know, those hand cranked egg beaters. Mm-hmm. Like I just found this old one that was all broken. And I was like playing with it, just messing around. I think I was like 17, and I'm just cranking it around. No, for the purposes of this story, I'm 21. I was just like cranking it around, making these like weird noises, going like, and it was at my school, and I like put my tongue in it, and I was just like, like cranking it around, and I was like, oh my gosh, wouldn't it be gnarly to like kill somebody with this thing? Like that would be nuts. And they were just like, that's really weird, Allie. And then I took it and I just had it and for years. And then I was at my friend's house, and it was the first night that I ever got drunk. Somebody gave me rum for my very first time. A lot of it. And I started playing with the little thing again. And I was like, guys, there's a baker and he's killing you with this. And he's going like, and that was where that came from. Just messing around. So yeah. That's often the best ideas is when you're like having fun with it, because it like they write themselves.
There's a short film that was at the American Horrors Film Festival. It won Best Short of the year. I can't remember what year it was, and it was called The Muffin Man. And it was a baker who was killing people, and he killed somebody with the egg beater that you're talking about. I'll find it. I'll get it to you.
That just makes me sad.
You shouldn't be sad. Well, I'm going to keep telling people about my history here. So not only did I work in comics, I worked in advertising.
Just go over my sadness.
We're just going to run right through that. We're going past your sadness. We're getting back.
Okay.
I'm going to keep talking about me here for a second.
Okay.
So I'm a martial arts guy. So I'm trained in Taekwondo. I'm trained in Judo, Russian Sambo, jiu-jitsu, grappling, all kinds of fun stuff. And I got to train for a long time at Gokor's Hayastan Academy in Los Angeles. And I got to train and become friends with the late, great Judo Gene LaBelle, who was, all these guys are great people. I met so many great people at Gokor's. And martial arts has been really good for my mind and my body. And it's been great for me to like focus. And from there, I lived in LA for 22 years. So I worked in the industry. I worked in music videos. I worked in adult films, not the way you're thinking. Not really in front of the camera. No, I didn't do anything like that.
Well, not the way my chat might have been thinking, but I already knew that.
Yeah, no, I never got in front of the camera, did anything like that. I mean, I posed naked, but just not naked and erect. I'm normally pretty cold when I'm covered in the fake blood and we're in the studio and I got the machete and I'm getting into character and I'm normally pretty damn flaccid. Yeah, it's pretty cold. I look like a big, weird 12-year-old kid that came out of the ocean. And it was cold. So I did that, and I worked in music videos, and I worked in adult, and I directed music videos. I got to have a video on Headbangers Ball. I lived in Highland Park, and Phineas and Billie Eilish grew up next door to me. Gerard Way started with me when he was 15 years old, and he was Gary. He was just Gary then. And so we published his first comics, On Raven's Wings 1 and 2. Now, if somebody wants to get a copy of On Raven's Wings, well, gosh, oh golly, I happen to have a couple of copies over at www.americanhorrors.net/shop. And we've got them available.
You managed to save some?
Well, that was one of the great things. I really believed in myself as a publisher. So I printed up, I knew I did a lot of shows and I knew I could move these books at shows and signings. So I always overprinted, and they had a rule of thumb. Like if you really want to grow your audience, you got to overprint by like 5 to 7% at least. And so I generally overprinted by about 15 to 20%. You know what I mean? So I have a great deal of these Boneyard Press books, the first printings, the original. So it's not like you're buying it from a comic book shop. You're getting it from me. So it's practically new, like the poetry book, Still Dead. It's my second collection of poetry. I've got those still in the original plastic wrap from Brenner Printing. Yeah, from 1998. And those are available on the website. And I definitely urge people to go to the website, pick something up. I could use your money. I'm not going to lie. I've got a lot of bills and a lot of stuff to print. I launched the second American Horrors channel, and I'm not going to see a check from that goddamn thing till January or February at the earliest. So, folks, if you want to help me be able to do some Christmas shopping, do your Christmas shopping at AmericanHorrors.net/shop. or at BoneyardPress2020.com, or contribute to the Jeffrey Dahmer Big Book of Dahmer campaign on Indiegogo. My history is so vast and so big. I've been acting in horror films. I'm in Bound by Blood 2. It's Orphan Killer 2, Bound by Blood. And I get my head smashed in with a brick. I'm going to spoil it for you. I'm in Mortuary Massacre as a corrupt cop who kills his suspect. I'm in Forbidden Dimensions, which is a lot of fun. I think it was renamed in America as 2069. I think
Did it hurt?
I act, I direct. My movie, The Garbage Man, which has been out of print for a long time, it's available as an add-on as part of the Big Book of Dahmer campaign. Now, why would I make it part of the Big Book of Dahmer campaign? Because I wrote the movie in the middle of all the controversy. I wrote the film in 1992, and I shot it on 16 millimeter film and 8 millimeter film in the summer of 1993. And that's when my girlfriend got murdered. She was murdered in the middle of making the movie. She worked at a motel. She was the night auditor. So she was doing the books at night, and she got raped and murdered by this guy that targeted her. And my father was staying there. He was the last person to talk to her. So I felt that the film was appropriate to put in there with the Dahmer book. And also another add-on is An American Horror Story. Now, one of the things that the victims' families used to say to me, and you could see it, I think, in the Springer clip where they're going, "Why don't you write a book about the victims?" And I would say, that's not my job to write. That's your job to write. You tell your story. If you want your story or your brother's story, your sister's story, the victim of crime told, do it. Go do it. And that's what I did with Poems for the Dead, and that's what I did with Still Dead. And when I was brought on to write for this true crime blog, In Cold Blog, I was brought on to be a First Amendment writer. And instead, when I sat down, it just came pouring out of me the story of my girlfriend's murder, Michelle. And it just came out, what it's like to be on these talk shows. So if you want to know what it was like for me to be on these shows, these chapters are written like bulletin points from a war zone. It's really an intense book, and that's called An American Horror Story, and that's available as an add-on also. And then you could and if you don't want to go through Indiegogo, you can pre-order An American Horror Story, a different version of it, because the version that's going to go for the Dahmer book will have a different cover than the one that's available as a pre-order on AmericanHorrors.net/shop. And I urge people to read it, but be forewarned, it is a very difficult book to read. Same like, Poems for the Dead. Imagine Poems for the Dead, the book.
It's definitely really intense. I don't think anyone should read it if they're at a. Maybe people should read it if they're at a low point. Maybe it'll help.
I think it will. When people are in a lot of pain and when people are suffering, it helps to commiserate a bit, and it helps to learn, like, I'm not the only one that feels this way, or I'm not the only one that was victimized in this way. And I think that really helps, because I've done spoken word around the world. I've been flown to Japan to give a lecture about American poetry for some universities over in Tokyo. And I've done lectures at universities around America. I've done lectures at universities through Mexico, including Mexico City and Tlaxcala. God, I always massacre that second city's name. It's terrible. I don't speak much Spanish. And so when I would do spoken word, it's really intense stuff, and they call it serial killer poetry. And so a lot of times you end up after the show hanging out with somebody who's dealing with some severe trauma, and you need to commiserate, you need to talk with them. Like, here's an example. It's 2015, and I am at the Valentine's Massacre convention in the Hilton, put on by the Mad Monster people that do Mad Monster magazine. And Eben and them were doing a whole true crime thing. And I was there, and I'm doing the show, and I ended up hanging out in a hotel room talking survivor's guilt with a Columbine victim that was a survivor. He was in his wheelchair, and a John Wayne Gacy's best friend. And John Wayne Gacy's best friend was just like, I should have known. How come I didn't know? How come I didn't know? And he felt terrible. And the other gentleman from Columbine, he was dealing with tremendous survivor's guilt. And I have my own survivor's guilt. And, there's certain psychological affliction to people who lost a loved one to rape and murder. There's definitely a thing. It's such a terrible crime. It impacts everybody around you. So this notion that I shouldn't be the one to write about this Dahmer story. In fact, I think I'm the perfect fucking one to write about this Dahmer story. I am the perfect one to do this Dahmer story, not Ryan Murphy. I mean, I don't know that much about Ryan's personal life, but I feel that I have a better grip on both ends of the spectrum than they do. They just did it to exploit it. They're just doing it to make money. That's the only reason the Dahmer Netflix special exists, is so these guys can make a shit ton of money. That's it. It's the only reason he's doing it. This guy is not there to help anybody.
What did you think of Evan Peters? Doesn't he play Dahmer? The guy from American
played him.
From American Horror Story, the TV show.
I never saw him. I saw some of the American Horror Story seasons. The one that I actually liked was Coven. I liked that one, but then again, I also knew all the movies they were ripping off, because we play a lot of those witchy films on American Horrors. One of the great things about my channel is there's no commercial during the movies. And
that's true. You guys, you can just go to sleep to. I've gone to sleep to his channel before, and it just goes. Like, you wake up to it and you're like, oh, how lovely.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was one movie I watched where I actually wrote you, and I was like, what movie are you playing right now?
And then sometimes I gotta guess. I'm like, what the fuck? What fucking movie is this? Oh, it's Honeymoon Horror. It's Honeymoon Horror. Okay, you know what I mean.
You knew, but I was like, this movie is so fucking weird. Like, I just had to know, because it was like, this guy was flying women out to his castle.
Yeah,
and he would turn them into cats.
Night of 1,000 Cats, which is a weird one.
And I was like, what the fuck am I watching? because it wasn't in English. And I was like, I have to know what this is now, because I turned it on right in the middle of it, and I was like, it was like nothing I'd ever seen.
70s music score.
Yeah.
Really odd and bizarre.
Where it's like, is this scary music? I'm not sure. That was so weird. I will never forget watching that, because I woke up to it and I was like, is what happening what I think is happening?
Well, you know, I work with a lot of different filmmakers and actors and writers, so they would suggest stuff to me, you know, and
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to live where I could go to Eddie Brandt's Matinee, which is an amazing VHS store in Los Angeles. It's in, I believe, North Hollywood or Burbank. And it's just this fantastic, crazy VHS store in Los Angeles. Quentin Tarantino loves it. A lot of the movie people love it. And it's just got so many odd films. And I got to work with like the film historians. And I go, okay, what do I need to play on the network? What do I need to play on the channel? And I went around and asked a lot of people that, like, what do you think I need to play? And so it started to kind of go in that direction. And I love horror, so I like all kinds of horror. But we did make a decision to avoid the staples. So there's no Child's Play. There's no Michael Myers. None of the generic same old crap.
Well, all that stuff's going to be played, you know, on, I don't know, HBO or whatever anyway.
AMC's Halloween, 30 Days of Halloween. We're playing the same shit every goddamn year.
Speaking of AMC, have you watched the Interview with the Vampire show?
No. I like the Anne Rice novels. I like her writing. I think she's great.
If you like the books, do not watch this show.
Okay. And then I liked her erotica books. I liked her beauty books.
Yeah. She's an excellent writer. I did a whole video series, me and this guy Dark Gift Comics, because he likes them too. The novels. Oh my god. This is some of the worst television I've ever seen in my life. Like, and they changed it to the point where it's not even her novels anymore. It's just like, okay, they have 3 characters who have that same name.
Okay.
It opens, and I'm not making it up when I say this. The first one opens. And they changed the timeline, so it's 1910 now. Which fucks a whole bunch of stuff up. But it opens with a woman that's like big, huge, fat prostitute. Because Louis is a pimp now in 1910, and he's black, and he's also a drug dealer.
Okay.
So he's not what he is in the books at all. He's just a different character.
Okay. Why didn't they just make it a different character? Why do they have to make it Louis?
Exactly. You know why.
It doesn't sound anything because...
And they made him gay.
Huh?
And he's gay.
Well, I thought Louis was already gay.
No.
I thought most of those vampires that do with a vampire was gay. That's the meat cleaver. Be careful with that.
No, her vampires don't fuck. But, well, Armand and Marius might be gay. But she's got Louis and Lestat, like... Or the showrunner has Louis and Lestat doing it, like, a lot. It's...
All right.
It just, like... It's very tokeny. It's very awkward. It's bad.
Okay. Because I really liked the writer Poppy Z. Bright, and most of her stuff was, you know, it had a lot of gay erotic tones and a lot of hardcore gay sex in it. But her writing, the stories were great. It was interesting.
Her vampires, like the nature of becoming an Anne Rice vampire is they can't do that anymore.
No, that's part of the idea of damnation.
Yeah, but these ones can, and they can eat food and drink stuff. Food? Yeah, and they can walk around in the daytime.
I definitely do not want to watch this fucking show now. No, nah.
It would just piss you off.
Just them eating the food in the daytime, daywalker, and all that crap. And you're absolutely right, because that's part of damnation. That's part of the idea. And you're damned. Okay.
And they so the first part opens with this huge black prostitute, and she's like, he put it in my butt, and so I shit on his dick to teach him a lesson. And I was like, I don't remember Anne ever writing this, even in her erotica. And she wasn't afraid to write stuff. If you've read her beauty books, she did not shy away from that. No. So if she wanted to, she could have. But that's how this opens. I was just like, wow, this show's going to suck.
I don't know. For me, it's I have to watch so much stuff for work. You know what I mean? For the channel, for the network. And I watch my channel. That's something that I could say to people is, hey, guys, I'm watching. So if you're getting bored, let me tell you, I'm getting bored too. So the last...
And he never sleeps, so...
Yeah, the last couple of months I've been launching the second channel. I've been launching American Horror Classic. I've been working on getting the Build-A-Bull Omnibus into print. We're very close to releasing the digital edition. Then I'll be doing the print. And I've just been slammed with work, so I haven't been able to necessarily do the schedule like I used to. I have not. There have been more reruns. I'm sure a lot of people have noticed. But as we head into the winter, that's going to stop. I'm going to be getting everything refreshed. I've got a bunch of new programming coming to the network. Excuse me. American Horror Classic has been a huge, huge endeavor to do. And the reason I did it is because I'm trying to kind of revive how my wife ran her channel. So I was lucky enough that Waka was so, I'm going to say anal, especially after that shit on your dick crack. Waka was really anal. So when she scheduled the network for our Film On channel, she changed the programming every day because we had theme days. Mondays was Mondo Vision Monday, Satanic Sunday, Wicked Wednesday, Twisted Tuesday, and all that kind of thing. And then the El Rey Network kind of totally ripped us off. That's a whole other thing. And so I have the schedules. So for me, it's kind of like an act of love. And Waka didn't just run the network. She was an editor and a photographer, and she created the bumpers, and she was a singer and a musician. She was just a powerhouse talent of a woman. And she had degrees in English and, her viewpoint, because she was from Japan and being Japanese, I thought it added a really cool flavor to the network. So that's what American Horror Classic is.
Japanese horror is like really scary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Spooky.
The scariest movie that I ever have seen that like freaked me out the most was, and you're gonna roll your eyes, but it was Ringu. Was Ringu, like the ring.
Okay. That's a great movie.
Yeah, but like I've had people laugh at me. They're like, that's so silly, Ellie. Like, it's so mainstream of a movie to be afraid of. I was like, it haunted me. Like,
and are you talking about the remake by the DreamWorks one or the original Japanese one?
The Japanese one.
The Japanese one's far creepier.
Yeah. I was like, that movie realistic. Haunted me. Like, my friend and I, we weren't allowed to watch horror movies because I was like 16, and we like left church basically, and we're like, let's watch this movie that we've heard about, and we're watching it and we're terrified. Like, I had just seen The Exorcist like 2 months before for the first time in my whole life. God. It was a big deal. The scariest movies that I saw were like those at the time, but The Ring haunted me. Like for a week, I was actually legitimately afraid. I would see a wooden chair and I'd be like, there's a chair. Like, or I'd see a ladder and I'd be like, guys, there's a ladder on the side of that door. I didn't want to brush my hair. Like, it was crazy. And and I wrote it down too because I wanted to ask, like, has there been a movie that scared you? Like, what was a movie that scared you? Does it exist? Was it a thing?
Sure, I get scared. Yeah, hell yeah, I get scared. Actually, after my late wife's first bout with cancer in 2006, I didn't know if she was coming back alive or not, and I had gone through an issue where my closest friends and associates had gathered together to steal my company away from me and embezzled money from my company and sabotaged it. And it's a whole terrible, terrible story. So I was in such a dark space. I couldn't watch a horror movie for 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah, like 2 years, I couldn't watch them. I could not watch a horror film because I was going through so much horror in my own life. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. But growing up as a kid, The Exorcist for sure. John Carpenter's The Thing I saw in the theater as a boy, and it scared the fuck out of me.
Well,
I was in the theater, and
those effects are amazing.
Those
effects can't be beat.
Huh?
Those effects are amazing. They can't be beat. Amazing.
Yeah, so I saw it in when it came out, like, was it 82? 1982? And so we went with our...
I don't know. I was born in 87.
Oh, okay. All right. So I'm there with my friend's dad and his mom, and it's my buddy Sean Duffy. And Sean and I, that movie was terrifying, utterly, utterly terrifying. And Sean couldn't take it. He got up and went and played video games in the lobby. And I held on to the armrest of the chair like I was in an airplane going down. And I'm just, oh, Jesus Christ, what the fuck is going on? Oh, God. And that scared the shit out of me. That one, John Carpenter's Thing got me.
Wow.
Of course, like I said, The Exorcist, the Omen films spooked me. The Omen got to me. What else?
I've never seen the Omen movies.
Oh, the originals are great. The remake is utter crap, utter garbage. I'm gonna say Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, flipped me out. Yeah,
I've never even heard of that.
Oh, you gotta see it. Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. It was banned for a long time. It came out because it was too much. It was too much. It's everything somebody like the producers of the Dahmer story are trying to do, because it was based on the crimes of Henry Lee Lucas and Otis Toole, or maybe is that the name of the character in the film?
I don't even know who that is.
Oh, yeah. Henry Lee Lucas was one of the first serial killers that realized, if I change my modus of operandi, they can't track me. So I'll go to this town and I'll kill these hookers with a knife. Then I'll go to this town and I'll use a gun. And it doesn't match their crimes. They can't track you. And he understood that the police department in one state's not going to know what's happening in the other state. So yeah. Henry Lee Lucas, he's somebody that was a very prolific serial killer. I published a book on Richard Speck through Boneyard Press. I published a book on Ed Gein, which is available on the website. So at AmericanHorrors.net /shop or BoneyardPress2020.com. You can go get these books. The True Gein books are, man, they're in perfect condition. And then we did a book that had a story by Richard Ramirez in it. And that's a book called Snuff. And you guys are lucky because I'm about to add that to the store because I just found like fucking 10, 15 copies of this thing. And it's a really nasty horror comic. So
I didn't know he wrote a story.
Yeah, Richard Ramirez wrote it. He wrote a story about the spider baby.
Written well? Would you say it's written well?
It's a cool story, yeah.
Okay.
Of course, my friends say, "Oh, dude, he's totally ripping off a King Diamond song," and I'm like, I could believe that.
What is do you have plans for future books?
Oh yeah, for sure, yeah, without a doubt. I am back in comics as a writer. You know, what we're doing with Boneyard Press is we are bringing back the original lineup of books back into print. So that's why there's the Buildable Omnibus is going to be coming out. That's why we were going to do Babylon Crush next. You know, that's kind of why I was looking at where I'm going to take a book, and we were going to do Babylon. And frankly, the Netflix special hit me out of nowhere. They didn't get any licensing from me. I didn't sign anything for them, which is really weird because I'm a professional. Do you understand me? I'm an entertainment professional. And so I've had Boneyard Press books. The Dahmer book is in Serial Mom with Kathleen Turner, a John Waters film. John's a fan. So the production calls you up and, you know, they send you some release forms. You sign the release forms. Boom, they put the book in. So these guys with this special, I don't know why they didn't just go, hey, we're working on this Dahmer thing, and we want to put your book in here. So here you go. Here's the licensing. When I was on Nat Geo's The 90s, the last great decade. Yeah, that's what they did. I'm on there. I'm interviewed about Dahmer, and it's one of their most popular miniseries they've ever had. And they licensed it. It's not like they had to pay any money for it. I didn't get paid any money for it. You get what I mean? The guys in Val Kilmer's The Salton Sea, which is a really cool revenge film with Vincent D'Onofrio. There's a scene in there where these meth heads have their shooting gallery, and the whole wall is all boneyard artwork. It's all Bill the Bull and Babylon Crush. I just signed the release for them. It's that simple. So it's really puzzling to me. It feels like they did this on purpose, and they made a point to not say my name in the film, in the Dahmer Netflix special. They disparage me, and they disparage my work, and they misrepresent my work. And it's very insulting. It's truly, truly insulting because they're lying to the audience. They're absolutely.
It must have been surreal to watch that too, and just sit there and be like, "Wait."
I wasn't going to watch it. I mean, I wrote a book about Dahmer. I don't need to watch this thing. I know, what I mean? Like, isn't it my understanding that Dahmer didn't get beat to death with a dumbbell in a weight room? He was beat to death and sodomized with the broomstick in a bathroom.
He was?
That's my understanding of how Dahmer died.
I didn't even know he was dead.
But then, if they do that, that makes their hero less self-righteous because he did a sex crime on Dahmer. And the rumor was, when it happened in circles, in true crime circles, the rumor was that was a hit. The rumor was that it was the victim's families put a hit out on him.
I mean, I can see it, I'm sure.
Oh, I could totally see that. I could easily see something like that.
Plagal said they're angry at HART for making the book, just like how they're mad that people were selling eyeglasses on eBay, saying they were usable as a Jeffrey Dahmer costume.
They're just such selfish pricks. It's okay for them to do it, but you can't do it. It's such a bunch of bullshit.
Did they use your stuff word for word, or was it just like the cover and stuff?
I have to sit down and watch it from top to bottom. I've only cherry picked a couple episodes because I didn't really want to do it because it's only going to fucking make me mad.
Yeah.
It's going to piss me off. And I'm already talking to lawyers about suing them. So I'm already talking to lawyers about it because I've been in and out of court over different things. I've been sued. I've sued people. I've had to issue cease and desist orders to people. So court is part of the entertainment business. It just is. And so I've been roped into other people's court cases. Somebody sued Brian Polito once from Chaos Comics. It was this asshole. I won't even say her fucking name. This fucking jackass. She went after Brian over some vampire character he had. There was like a vampire character that was like a punk rock, wore leather and blah, blah, fucking female vampire. A gazillion of these fucking characters out there. Well, this person had written some books and actually had a story in Verotica during the time that I was working for Danzig and running Verotic. So after I was no longer running Verotic and no longer writing there, I ended up working with Chaos and writing for Chaos. And at one point, I was offered a job to be an editor for Chaos, and I was flown out there to interview. And so during this time, this author said that Brian ripped his character off of her novel, and Glenn had published the novel as a comic book series. So she tried to drag me in and said that I had proprietary knowledge and I helped Brian steal her character. And it's like, what kind of crazy bullshit is this? I was just hired to write a book for Brian. And then I was going to, I was up for the job of being an editor. And then the industry imploded at the end of the 90s. The industry just kind of imploded, and that kind of went away, But people will involve you in these court cases for their own political gain, for their own desire to be in front of a TV camera, for their own desire to signal their virtue. Let me protect you. Let me show you how virtuous I am. Oh, sir, how dare you say that terrible slur to that person? Let me show you I'm one of the good guys. Yes. Get the fuck out of here, man. Get the fuck out of here. Fuck off. Oh, go fuck off. You don't like the book, don't buy the book. people complain about this wokeism that's happening. I don't buy the book. It's just not a story meant for me. I'm not the audience for that book. And then people get mad. Why is that even there? What the hell? Son of a gun. And it's stupid. It's just, okay, you don't want to eat the generic Cheerios? Go have some mini thins. You don't have to eat the generic Cheerios if you don't want to eat the generic Cheerios. So shut the fuck up about the goddamn generic Cheerios. Just shut it.
Like you're just no.
Yeah,
what do you think of what do you think of the comic book industry right now? Mainstream.
Actually, the crowdfunding has changed the entire game. And I think it's to the benefit of the readers, because now the readers get to have a lot more of a say in what gets printed. And you've removed a lot of the middleman. The thing that's weird is a lot of folks are also focused on crowdfunding, and I'm doing it now myself. But the crowdfunding is a way for me to get my products back into print because I want them in the stores. I want them in the stores. I want to be working with comic stores. I want my products where comic book readers can get them, because part of the pleasure of comics is, man, that new comic day. I felt this. I really miss video stores. It was the same thing. You knew when the new movies came in on like Tuesday night or Wednesday night, and you're like, oh, I wonder what's coming in today. And you're all happy. And it's a faster process too. It's so much faster to just walk the aisle and you know what's in the store, and you know what you saw, and you're just scanning the shelves. You're in, you're out. When I'm trying to find a movie to watch on Netflix, I don't have a lot of fucking time. So I need to be able to like get on it and like, what am I watching? But when you start going through Netflix, you find out like, Jesus Christ, did 35 minutes just go by?
I still haven't found anything, and I've been clicking through like, do I want to watch this? Maybe I'll put it in my thing. Yeah.
You know what really pisses me off? Hey, assholes at Netflix. Hey, assholes, Netflix. Hey, dickheads. When I have my queue, don't fuck with my queue. Don't fuck with the order of my queue. Stop putting the shit you want me to watch first at the beginning and making me search all the way through the goddamn queue to find the fucking movie. Stop it, Netflix. No. Wrist slap. End of rant. Yeah, and I'm drinking water, guys, because when I was on Ethan's show, they thought I was getting wild because I was drinking Jack and Cokes. Like, oh my God, he drank 6 Jack and Cokes. Yeah, over the course of 4.5 fucking hours of talking like a motherfucker, I get thirsty. This is water, guys. It's just water.
Thank you, some person. So, what was the first horror movie that you saw ever?
Well, that's a question I ask on American Horrors. And you asked me what's something that scared me. So the question that we ask on American Horrors, a lot of the guests and when I'm out interviewing people, because I'm the host of American Horrors, guys. If you want to tune into American Horrors, I'm the host. So you'll see crazy shit with me on there. A lot of fun stuff. I do this character called Sad Jason, and it's Jason Voorhees' dumb little brother, Jason Myers. And my outfit doesn't fit right. My mask is too small for my face. And I'm sad because it's winter and there's nobody left to kill around the lake. So,
believe it or not, I've never seen those movies.
Oh, they're shorts. You know what? I'll play them.
No. Like, I've never seen
Friday the 13th?
Friday the 13th.
I like Friday the 13th far more than Halloween. And I'm going to say...
I haven't seen Halloween either.
The very first Friday the 13th. I mean, you're talking about when I saw these films, I saw them when I was like 12. So really? Friday the 13th got me. I'd say Friday the 13th Part 2 scared me. Yeah, for sure. It was scarier than the first one for me. And
so were those the first ones you watched?
The very first thing that I ever saw that scared me was Star Trek. I was a little boy. I was probably like 2 or 3. And it's the one where Captain Kirk is stranded in like this desert and he has to fight to the death with this lizard guy. And the lizard guy is way stronger than him. And eventually Kirk figures out how to make some gunpowder and fashions a gun and kills him. but it scared the shit out of me so bad. I was watching from beneath the couch. I crawled under the couch, and I was watching it through the little tassels, you know?
I remember when couches had that.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
So that was the first time that I ever remember being scared from something I was watching. And you know what else scared me as a kid? There was a made-for-TV werewolf movie I was watching with my father when I was little. And this person's car broke down, and the werewolf was stalking up to get him in the car, and that scared the shit out of me. Piranha got me. The original Roger Corman Piranha.
I haven't seen that either.
Oh, it's fantastic because the piranhas end up being able to go, like, they go up like the sewer pipes and shit. So I was terrified they were going to like bite me in the ass when I was taking a crap. You know, Jaws scared the shit out of me. Jaws scared me pretty damn good. Jaws
I haven't seen that either.
Oh, yeah. Jaws really scared the crap out of me. Well, I went camping and I was swimming in lakes, and my dad had a boat, you know. So I was out on water. And when you're a little kid, you're not thinking, oh, well, I'm safe. It's fresh water.
Mo is saying that watching Star Trek could give you nightmares that you're still watching Star Trek.
I don't like the modern shows. I like the original show. I do like the original cast films. I like some of the more new Star Treks. I like some of them. They're hit and miss for me. I like the original 3 Star Wars films. I don't care for much of the rest. Although I like Rogue One. I like Rogue One a lot.
Dan's saying that I need to get a VCR and watch them. I have 2 VCRs. I still have all my VHS tapes. The problem is I was not allowed to watch this stuff. And I don't like watching horror movies alone because I get scared. Not usually during the movie, but afterward when it's time to go to bed. And I'm like,
that happened.
My brain is going and I'm like, is it wind outside? Like, it's super lame, but yeah.
Part of my PTSD now as an adult, I have a problem with hypervigilance. So I'm hyper alert a lot. So I will wake up if I hear a footstep, if I hear the wrong step. Like a friend of mine was staying with me for a bit, my tech, and one of my good friends, Max DeVille from Atrocity Press. Max works with me on American Horrors, and a lot of people don't know Max used to have the Grindhouse channel on Roku, which was the biggest exploitation channel on Roku for a while. And so Max was staying with me, and he was in charge of getting the channel up, and we were having all these fucking tech problems. And he's a war vet, so he too has PTSD, you know. So the two of us were setting each other off because he was staying with me in my house, and he was in my guest room, and the guest room door opens, and I have a different sleep schedule because I'm up most of the night. And so every time he came out of his bedroom door, it's wide awake every goddamn time. It was driving me. If I heard him coughing out here, you know, because he's a smoker, Max so damn funny. Do you know who I'm talking about, Allie?
Who?
Do you know who Max DeVille is?
No.
Okay, he's the publisher of Atrocity Press, and he was a sergeant in the Army, and he's an Iraq war veteran. So he's told me some really interesting stuff. And in fact, Max you asked me if I'm going to write new stuff. Yeah, we are. We are going to be doing new Boneyard Press books with Bill the Bull, Dark Angel, and Babylon Crush, for sure. And then we're going to revive Flowers in the Razor Wire as a creepy and eerie sized big black and white magazine. And the Bill the Bull and the Boneyard characters, they're aged 20 years. It's 20 years later. You know, I stopped publishing in 2004. So I wanted to have a challenge. And one of the things that comics get stuck in, and they have to keep rebooting them, is like, how the fuck could Nick Fury still be fucking alive? He was with his Howling Commandos in World War II. You know what I mean? Like the Fantastic Four, did they get immortality from those cosmic rays? You know, how fucking long has the Hulk been alive? Now, the Hulk being alive for a long time actually kind of makes sense to me. or Thor being alive for a long time makes sense to me.
Or Wolverine.
Yeah, that Wolverine makes sense. The super soldier formula for Captain America, but then he was in ice for a long time. So for me, I wanted to see where these characters were going to be. And so Max is writing about Bill the Bull as a private contractor in Iraq. And I told him, I'm like, dude, I want you to be honest with your experience. So if you're going to have to use some racial slurs in your script, then fucking A, you're going to, because if that's how people talk there, then that's what I want to fucking capture. I want to capture what's real. And for Dark Angel, my serial killer character, I'm going to be writing. I mean, I'm writing this stuff. I've got a really amazing journalist, Natalie Ballard, who is working with me on Babylon Crush, updating Babylon. And we're going to take Babylon into some very interesting territory, especially with these modern tropes of wokeism and the SJW thing, and a lot of the cancel culture, and a lot of what's happening. If you look at what's happened in the, I always massacre it, so I'm going to say the alphabet. There's been such a change over the last 30 years in how those issues have been treated, and there's so much happening between like, okay, I'm just going to say it. A gay man is different than a lesbian. You know, a gay woman and a gay man aren't the same. You can't just act like they're the same.
Yeah.
It's insulting to either one.
It is.
And to lump it all together like it's the same, I think, is kind of insulting to the people, you know?
Yeah.
We're all people, aren't we?
and to make it like the same, you know, it's always the same gay guy, you know? In it's every single movie. It's like, oh, you know, he likes fashion and he wiggles his butt. Like, that's all gay guys. And it's like, stop. Stop it.
Yeah, and then the idea of they forgot about bisexual. There are plenty of people that are just bisexual. You know, the lovely lady that I'm dating, she's bisexual. You know, that's her thing. And okay, all right, you're playing with me now. Yay! I'm lucky. Yay! I just don't want to lump it into that. So it's, I don't know. Babylon Crush is a lesbian dominatrix. So I feel that I never got the credit that the company deserved because of this overcast of Dahmer. I think that Babylon Crush is the very first out female gay character, like out with a girlfriend, with everything. And it's she's not portrayed. And the cast of characters like Merle's a big Bull Dyke. She's big, heavy set, kind of, you know, with her hair like The Cure. And the characters are all different body types. And that's something I liked in it. And they were, all the main characters were lesbians. And they were a vigilante group that went out and they had a problem with guys and they fucked dudes up, you know, that were doing the wrong crimes. And that was their thing. That's what those characters did. And I based Babylon Crush on several people I knew, many, but the biggest influences I would say would be the look of the character is from Varla Vortex, who is a fetish designer and was a model for, God, I can't remember the artist's name. She's a big Betty Page pinup artist. Can't remember her name right now. And so Varla was a fetish model and a fetish designer, and she designed this costume for, well, her real name was Barbara, but she was the Duchess de Sade. And it was this whole awesome outfit. And she also had played in this great seminal horror punk band called Horror Garage that was fantastic with Dookie Flyswatter. So my characters are, you know, I'm around a lot of amazing, interesting people. So that's what the characters come from. And my characters like exist in my head. They're real. They're real. So the idea, if somebody said, we're going to make a Babylon Crush movie and we're going to make Babylon Crush heterosexual, I'd be like, it's not the same character. What are you talking about? That's not, you're just going to do that for why? That you're changing the fundamental aspects of what drives this character and what she's about. And so that's the only time I have a problem with it, is when you're trying to force something on the character. Because for me, my characters are real. So I kind of know what's happened to Bill the Bull and his partner Nick through the last 20 years. You know, I don't necessarily know what happened to Babylon. I've been trying to figure that out. I know where she's at now as a person, as a character. And then the Dark Angel character, I know exactly where he's at right now. And I'm actually really excited to do these new stories. And that's why I urge people at home, definitely contribute to the Indiegogo campaign for sure. Definitely go to my online store because you can get the actual first printings of these books. These are the original books that were printed in 93, 95.
Do you sign them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, you got it, right?
Everybody's signing them.
Well,
not everybody does, you know, and some places charge extra for the signature.
I don't really like doing that unless it's a signed limited edition book, but you're paying for the book. The signature is part of the thing. You're buying the book. You want that signed limited edition Dahmer Zombie Squad because it's signed and limited. That's part of what you're paying for. But for me to be autographing comics and go, no, you got to pay me. That's your book? You brought your book here? No, you got to give me $5. Give me $5. Come on, let's go.
So are you pretty much done with true crime?
Oh, no, not at all.
You kind of made it sound like that.
Well, a lot of it's boring for me. So I got way more. Okay, when I was young, my father had those Time Life books, right? I'm going to move this over a little bit because I'm going to lean back now. There, oh, camera's coming in. Oh, I've been leaning forward too much. Okay, so get one of these pillows behind me here. I'm sitting on a leather couch here
in my
living room with the lovely Chuck Norris. Good guys wear black hair. Let's see if we get this down a little bit. There we go. Hi. So my father was way into this stuff. My parents are readers. So both my parents, my mother and father, both had degrees in psychology. And neither one of them were boozers or pill poppers or druggers. They weren't into that. That wasn't their thing, you know, and they took a real keen interest in me and my brother Adam. And we got lucky. Our parents were part of our lives. So they were building us. They were trying to like build what did my dad say? I ain't making boys, I'm building men. And that's because he would have arguments with my mother about like nudity and stuff. She didn't want us to look at it like a Playboy or something. He's like, you got tits. They sucked them. It's fine. So my father was very salt of the earth, very, very funny guy, really, really a lot of fun. And so was my mom. My mom was a lot of fun. So they were readers. So we had books everywhere and we were encouraged to read. And I started reading comics at the age of 5. So I had a very advanced reading literacy level than everybody else I knew. And I was hanging out with all smart people. And I went to a high school for gifted, smart, super smart kids, Project Individual Education. And so I was groomed for this kind of thing. And my dad was into true crime. My dad was into detective fiction. His 2 favorite writers were Mickey Spillane and Ian Fleming. Ian Fleming is the guy who created James Bond.
Yeah.
Mickey Spillane created Mike Hammer, which is a private eye character. And so I had access to all these books. And he had the Time Life book set of, greatest assassinations and all that kind of thing. The Time Life book encyclopedia collection. And so I was allowed to read those. And then when my parents got divorced and I'd spend weekends over at my pop's, there's plenty of time to like, you're kind of bored. You're over there and it's a small apartment, you know, and it's not like your house where all your toys are and stuff. So you're looking for something to do. So I read all that stuff. I ate it up. I read them all. I read the books that my dad had. And my tastes as a reader were far more adult than made my mother comfortable. My mother was very uncomfortable with how mature I was gravitating to with what my work is. And I think that is exactly why my writing affects people so deeply, is because it comes from a very real place. My writing comes from a very real place and people can relate to it and it scares the shit out of them. I guess it's okay to say this. Hey, Dan Plagle, you're going to like this. So coming back to comics has been really great for me because I've gotten to get back into touch with a lot of people that I didn't see for 10 years, 15 years, that I didn't get to talk to. Because you see everybody at the comic conventions. You fucking know everybody. It's like summer camp friends. And so I was talking to Dan Fraga Boom. And I'm talking to Dan and we're on the phone.
Awesome.
He's like, "Hart, I really wanted to confess to you that I'm sorry if I was ever standoffish with you back when we were in the comic industry, when you were back in that day, because you wrote that Taste of Cherry story and it was so dark and so fucked up. I just didn't understand who could even write that. I just couldn't even conceive of what kind of person could write that story in Veronica 4. And I got it. He's like, it scared the shit out of him. I get it. I get it. So now, I'm talking to all these guys. It's so great, man. And it's great to have this conversation, find out from several people in the industry, be like, dude, you have no idea. You were my boogeyman. You were the boogeyman, dude. You were the fucking boogeyman. You scared the shit out of me, man. And I was really angry back then because the public didn't know I was dealing with Michelle's murder trials. So every couple of years, they had a different trial. And that her killer almost got loose a couple times. And I'd been dealing with so many death threats, and my house had been robbed a couple times. And, I'm a victim of violence, and my loved ones I've had before Michelle, my two previous girlfriends before her were both raped. One was kidnapped right out of her apartment by this douchebag who nearly beat her to death. So when I write about this stuff, it's coming from a very real place. It really is. And I think that's why the work is so effective. And I think that's probably why I'm a lot more uncompromising, because if you have to sit there and you got to look at that guy who raped and murdered your woman, and you got to look at him, and you're trained to hurt people, you're a martial artist. What the fuck do you think you're going to say on Twitter that's going to get under my skin?
Yeah.
What the fuck do you think you're going to do to me on a talk show that's worse than that? Nothing. You got nothing. You got nothing for me. And so I dealt with that over and over again. They made me look at the fucking crime scene photos when I was on the witness stand. And they surprised me with them, of course. Of course, the prosecution didn't fucking tell me. They wanted to get an emotional reaction out of me on the stand to make me more sympathetic to the jury because of what all these Dahmer people said about me in the press. Because of what these people and their portrayals about me in the press affected my murder trial. Now, you guys, your guy got convicted and killed. I had to keep dealing with my motherfucking guy. He's still alive. He's still in fucking prison. I got to wonder if he's going to get out because this crooked governor of Illinois gave him a pass. He got the death penalty. Now he's got life.
And now he's got life.
And that means he could get let loose. So now I got to keep an eye out for when this piece of shit might come out or if he's going to be up before a parole board and go handle that. So once you've been through this, we won't even get into my wife's terrible ordeal with cancer and being her sole caregiver. We won't even get into that one.
Oh, so, I remember because that's when I was still on Facebook and that was you like every day. So
yeah. So for me, it is probably easier to scare me because I've been through so much and I have a much clearer idea of what people are capable of. And the idea that someone could just decide to, like with the Taste of Cherry, that was a political thing that this church group targeted me because of the coverage on the Dahmer stuff. So they targeted my work. So this prosecuting attorney decided he could get a political bump and he raided Planet Comics and he destroyed their business and he destroyed their lives and he cost both those men their marriage. Also, he could have a political virtue signaling grandstanding for a book that was a adults only book sold behind the counter. It was bagged behind the counter. I was on the phone with the counter guy, the cash register guy, while the raid was happening. Yeah. So that's why I laugh when people are like, aren't you afraid of this, Hart? No. I've been through so much worse, man. Or people go, aren't you afraid of these ghosts? No. No, not at all. I've been through so much worse. What did my dad say to me? This is a good piece of advice for everybody at home who's worried about the supernatural. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children of all ages, you have far more to fear from living men and women than the dead. Far more. Far more.
Wait, what ghosts?
Oh, I grew up in a haunted house, and I'm haunted. The house that I was in Williams Bay in Lake Geneva was haunted. My friends who are all like, I don't believe in this shit, Hart. Oh my God, Hart. I never believed in this till I hung out with you. Oh my God, I've seen so much stuff since I've been hanging out with you, Hart. Of course, I feel that my spirits walk with me. I feel that my father and mother are with me. I feel that my late wife is with me. I feel that Michelle is with me. I carry them in my heart, and I just do my best. I do my best. That's the thing, right? Try to treat people right, be cool, and yeah. Treating people right doesn't mean you're not going to upset somebody.
No, and in a lot of ways, people need to be upset.
Yeah, I think so. I think they need to be taken out of their bubble. I mean, we won't even. I mean, okay, so that's all the horrible emotional shit I went through. For fun, I do judo. I get thrown into the ground for fun, and I get bounced off the floor, and I jump back up, and I get thrown in the ground again. I'm a very different person.
Richard wants to know if people back then thought that because you wrote about things, you were also doing them.
Yes, they still do. Here's another thank you. Hey, I want to thank all the people who lied about the Dahmer book, because at Michelle's funeral, in the middle of making The Garbage Man, her relatives came up to me while I'm standing there at the coffin looking at her, the silly little fucking hat on her head because she'd been hit in the head with a shotgun to cover up the smashed in skull. These assholes came up and they're like, I'm sorry, they're not assholes, okay? This is what the portrayal of this Dahmer shit did to my life. These people came up to me, and they were relatives of Michelle's, and they said, we were really worried about her. We were really worried that you were going to hurt her from what we saw on TV. But seeing you standing here crying, we know you're all right. We know you're an okay guy. Can you imagine that? So, yeah, thank you, Sprinter. Thank you, Sally. Thank you, all you lying fucking pieces of shit. And that's where my hate comes for you. Yes, I hate you. I hate you people in the media that lie like this. I hate you folks in the media that exploit these victims' families. And I have a deeply passionate fucking hatred for you. Like you don't even know. And that's why my stories scare people, because I put that into the writing. Now, do I do anything like that to people? No. Nah. As a martial artist, and I was a bouncer, I learned a long time ago that it's the whole Superman, Spider-Man bullshit. With great strength comes great responsibility. So I try to be a good guy. I try to be cool. I try to help my friends, and my friends help me. It's a good life. For all the ups and downs and all the roller coasters, it's really an amazing life. And the fans are a big part of it. The fans kept me alive, man. Oh, man. Fuck. Fans. Love my fans. Thank you, guys. You guys really, really saved me for sure. And still do, still do. And one of the great things about social media, everybody gets too caught up on like arguing, and they get caught up on all this drama. But one of the most awesome things is now when, let's say, I sold one of my Jeffrey Dahmer shirts that I wore back in the day, and a fan bought it. And so she bought the shirt, and she framed it and put it up, and I got to see photos of her of the stuff on the wall. And that right there to me is really cool. That's super fucking cool to be able to interact like that, and to see like how happy they are when they get their product, how happy they are when they get their collectible book, and how happy people are that are back in comics. Television's fun. I love doing American Horrors, but if I'm honest with myself, comics were my first love, because that's what I started with first at 5. I never thought I'd have my own TV channel. It's a tremendous amount of work. It is a tremendous amount of work, but it's so satisfying to call up my girl and be like, hey, what movie do you want to fuck to tonight on American Horrors? I'm going to say something, and we're going to fuck. What do we want to watch? Because I found out, and I don't think this is a bad thing, Allie. I mean, weigh in on this with me. I utterly lose my erection if too much of myself shows up on the channel. Like if there's a show where I'm being interviewed and it's me yapping away, the sound of my own voice is saltpeter to me.
I don't think that's a bad thing. No.
It's a good thing then?
It probably means you lack a little bit of narcissism, right?
Yeah, I'm not quite the Christian Bale or American Psycho character. Yeah, that was actually kind of funny to find out. This beautiful woman I'm seeing, because she likes it. She's from outside of entertainment. I'm living in a small resort town. Lake Geneva is a beautiful, beautiful lake, and the people here have been really good to me. And they're not used to anybody in entertainment. They're just not used to it. So for her to see me shoot stuff, and she helps, and she works with us, and so for her to see it shot, and then see me cutting it, or one of the guys cutting it, and then seeing it premiere on the TV network is like, wow, it's such a rush. It's so satisfying to be able to go, you know what? I'm going to just shoot this fucking thing and I'm going to get it on the air tonight. Bang! Which you probably feel with the YouTube channel you have.
Yeah, I'm much happier when it's over. Sure. Is that what you're saying?
Oh my God. No, I don't know. I dig it.
I'm just not very good at editing and stuff. So when I'm not very good at editing video. Mm-hmm. I'm an excellent editor in print, but I just don't like editing in video. It's so tedious and repetitive and difficult. So when I try and do my YouTube channel, it's like, okay, what is the thing I can do that creates the least amount of edits? So I can just do it and put it up there. But I'm definitely much happier when I put it on there and I'm just like, oh, good, I'm done. I can stop now.
No, this is where Hart breaks his arm, patting himself on the back. I'm a gifted editor. Good. I'm really good at it. And
I'm a much better writer. Like I never really wanted to do the YouTube stuff, but like for years, I'm sending out query letters and everything and seeing how all the how predatory that the publishing industry is. I was just like, you know what? I don't even want to keep doing it anymore, because I was like, I know that I'm good, so I'll just do it myself.
That's the real thing for any artist, though. I mean, any artist, to be able to make money off of their work is tremendously difficult. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When I had my post-production company in LA, Crime Pays Inc., we sold ourselves as the best because everybody else was selling themselves as the cheapest. And we were good. We did really, really good work. And that was one of the great things about Waka was we had a point early in our marriage where I had so much work. I was hurting my back because I was in the chair too much. I was in the chair just too much. And we'd come off of a famine. So we needed the money and we had to get the work done. So she started learning different things just to be able to help me. She started learning different stuff. And she, goddamn, she was great. She got so good at it. And editing changes your eye. Once you get into it, like, okay, for me, as a post-production guy running a post-production house, I would have a director come in and he would have his project. And it'd be, let's say it's a feature film. It took him a long time to get that off the ground. He spent a lot of time shooting it, and the material becomes too precious to him. And he can't see because he hasn't done this process over and over again. And in filmmaking, they've got that whole thing, like there's the movie you imagined, there's the movie you shot, and then there's the movie that you ended up with at the end that you cut together. You know what I mean? And they're all different beasts. Every one of them is a different beast. And as an editor, editing the film or editing the music video or show or what have you, it changes your eye. Your eye fundamentally changes and you see things differently. Like with an edit, there's a flow. What's a movie? It's a motion picture. It's a flow. So from doing comic books and storyboards, I've been drawing comics since I was 5. And one of the cool things about the Build a Bull campaign is my mom kept all those books. She passed away last year. And as I was going through the house, clearing things out and, you know, cleaning up, I found all my childhood comics. She saved them all. There was a big cardboard box that she saved all these books. So one of the projects I want to do is I want to print all my childhood comics. I want to make a big giant like book, like a manga, you know, because that's how it is in Japan. They're like a big phone book.
Yeah.
And that's been fun looking at this stuff and realizing my journey. Because, you know, unlike a lot of folks, like here's the thing about American Horrors and like Boneyard Press, the reason that they have such a singular bang in the face is, okay, whoever's running IFC, they got a bunch of different people. People get hired, people get fired. I designed all the American Horrors logos. I edited with Waka a lot of the programming. All the little motion logos, I did them. Voiceovers, I do it. But wait, there's more. Call now. I do it all. I do it all. I can direct, I can edit, I write, I can shoot, I can do stills, I can color correct. You get what I mean? I can do all of it, and I can act, and I do act in film. So if anybody's got a good role for me, hire me. I'm looking. So at American Horrors, I literally am scheduling it. I schedule everything. So when you go, gee, why did that old cigarette commercial show up right after this ad? Because I wanted it to. I did it on purpose. I did it on purpose. So I don't know if you've noticed this, Allie, but one of the things I do, okay, for people who haven't seen American Horrors, when you turn it on and there's like a feature film, I do it like a movie theater. So you have a shout out, hey, we're so-and-so, and you're watching American Horrors. And then it goes into movie trailers. And when I schedule the trailers, I try to make it like when I was at the Grindhouse Theater on the south side of Chicago. And I tried it to make it so like the trailers kind of match the movie that you're about to see. Like, I'm going to have a movie that was from the 90s. I'll stick with more of like a trailer for Leprechaun and that age of horror. And so it kind of all fits because I'm trying to duplicate what it was like for me as a boy going to the Grindhouse Theater and not knowing what these movies are going to be, not having a fucking clue what the Grim Reaper is or these horror films I was seeing. I didn't know what the fuck they were. I didn't know what Nightmare on Elm Street was when I showed up at the theater. And I saw it by myself, except for there was a bum about 6 rows ahead of me. And he fucking had that Freddy Krueger hat on. I shit you not. He had that hat on. So I was terrified when I went home. Nightmare on Elm Street scared me. The first one and the second one scared me. After that, it became a joke-a-thon. It wasn't frightening anymore.
I haven't seen those either.
That's okay. You don't have to.
I've seen probably more of the, you know, lesser known stuff on your channel than I have of the ones that everyone knows. Although Child's Play, I do actually like that first movie quite a bit. The very first
one is that scared me. That got me.
Brad Dourif is great. Like, he's totally underrated. Mm-hmm. I love him in everything that he's ever been in.
Yeah, he's fantastic. I look at American Horrors, I call it a horror culture channel because it's about the culture of horror. And we have like uncut music videos and so much stuff like that. And we got a lot of new stuff coming in. I've been dealing with stuff with Build a Bull and my mother's death, and it's delayed the return of Groovy TV. Groovy TV is a show done by Groovy Neville, and he was a great guy, amazing guy, and he had a heart attack during the lockdown. So he's another one that I've been working on, preparing the next season of his show, and I've been working with his relatives and his friends, and you know, so he brought in his own element, and it's the American Horrors is such a great mixture of new and old. And I call it the VHS age of horror. Like, that's what I'm trying to emulate, is a VHS age. And you saying you have 2 VHS decks tells me that that's probably why you go to sleep with the channel on. I do too. I leave the channel on. I've got it on all the fucking time. How else am I going to know if it's running right?
Right.
You know? So I would defy anybody at IFC to say like, yeah, well, I designed the IFC logo. Oh, really? Oh, yeah. Did you make the music too? Oh, you made the music too for that? Okay. Did you edit it together? Oh, you didn't, huh? Oh, did you design the motion logos? Oh, no, you didn't do that, did you? Oh, did you know all the bands and all the music that's in there? No. You get what I mean? This is such a personal thing. And I think that's why American Horrors resonates. And I think it's why we're beating the pants off the competition. They don't want you to know about American Horrors. They really don't. They do not want you to know about us at all.
Well, I found out about you, like, it was probably 2012. Because your channel's as old as my kid. It's the exact same age. Our babies are the same age.
That's awesome.
But it was like probably 2012, and there was some documentary called American Horrors, and I was like, what's this? And I just turned it on a whim, and it was about you. And I think you talked in it. I don't remember. It was a long time ago now.
You talking about the channel?
No, it was like a movie, and that's what it was called. And I was like,
American Scary?
I don't think so.
About horror hosts?
No. Because you're like, I've been in so much. It was just weird that, like, I was like, oh, what is this? You know, just on a whim. And I was like, oh, this guy's really interesting. And then I went on a whole, like, dive. So yeah, that's been cool. I did have a question. Do you like the movie Cemetery Man?
It's fantastic. That's a great filmmaker. Fantastic filmmaker.
Good. I love
Delamort.
Yes.
I have it on that original title. One of the things that I try to do, like, okay, when you are watching a movie on the network and you go, why the fuck does this have those Thai subtitles? What am I watching? Well, sometimes the only way I could get the rights to that film was to put up the Thai version because it wasn't registered and copywritten properly. You know, that's the whole notion of public domain. And I get a kick out of the subtitles. It cracks me up when I've got this weird movie on, like Alienator, and you just know it's this horrendous Spanish ripoff of Alien and RoboCop. It's just so bad. But I love it. And then we've got this really great. It's supposed to be on Friday nights, and I'm going to make sure I get it up on Friday. I'll probably put it on Night of the Ghouls, and it's Riffhead, and it's just like Mystery Science Theater 3000, only it's R-rated, so it's way funnier.
So it's a lot darker.
James, who does it, is fantastic. The guy who does Riffhead, so funny. We've got so much great content, and that's really what's key. Is I feel that the mainstream channels and even all the mainstream entertainment people, and I think the publishers at Marvel and the publishers, I think replacing the top half of DC is going to do wonders for them. I think that having James Gunn in there is going to do wonders for them. And it's my understanding that did Todd McFarlane take over DC?
I have no idea.
Yeah, something like that happened.
Somebody in the chat will probably know.
Yeah, does anybody in the chat know if Todd McFarlane has been tasked to run? Because I used to always tell people, I'd be like, smartest thing Marvel could goddamn do is hire me to run the company. Hire me to run Marvel Comics. I will change shit, and your circulation will go up. Sales will go up. Your readership will go up, and you might have some better characters instead of just making it, look, it's Vampire, Joker, Batman guy. Oh, look, it's Yellow Hulk. Oh, look, it's Girl Hulk. Oh, I got a real good question for everybody out there. Hey, She-Hulk fans, why is male Hulk this Neanderthal-looking dude, and She-Hulk is like this hot swimsuit model with big jugs? What's that about? Shouldn't it be much more like the Shrek movies with Mr. and Mrs. Shrek?
Wasn't it in the comics because she didn't have as much of the gamma ray radiation or whatever?
Sorry, I don't know. It just seems kind of...
Oh.
I don't like the way... I do have a problem with the way that they took a child's character, Harley Quinn, from the cartoons and hoard her out and sexualized her. It bugs me. So there's something about it that really, it's this way of like, you take your Mickey Mouse girl, your Britney Spears, and you exploit them to the max, And then when you can't exploit the sugarcoating anymore, you whore them out and you tart them up. And I really see that happening a lot. And it isn't what the audiences want. That Birds of Prey movie was terrible. Oh God, it was bad. But then the character was great and interesting in the Suicide Squad movie from James Gunn.
I did enjoy the Suicide Squad, but what made me kind of sad was I wanted more Harley and Joker, but they just didn't do it. Like the way that it was sold to me when they were talking about it, you know, was, oh, it's going to be this whole thing. And I was like, that'll be awesome, you know, because for me, that was my Batman, you know, Batman the Animated Series. That was what I had when I was growing up, because that I was the age demographic, you know, that's what I watched after school. It was that and Batman Beyond, you know, all that was where I was. And so I was really looking forward to that. And you're right, like what they've done with Harley is just, it's
crazy
gross,
horror.
But it's also sad, you know.
Because
and I think
also I felt that the original Harley Quinn in the cartoon was body positive. It wasn't this Barbie whore.
Because she was all covered up.
Well, she was all covered up, but you could tell in like some of the outfits that she was more voluptuous. The whole real women have curves. Yeah. You know, I'm not really into a chick with a six pack. Sorry. I like a woman that looks like a woman.
I wasn't paying attention to that, I guess, as a kid. As a kid, I was just like, these people are crazy. Like, these are bad people. Like, that was me as a kid.
Yeah. Well, I grew up in the whole era of the 80s, you know, and Rambo, and everybody had to have ripped abs like Rambo and Jean-Claude Van Damme and all that. And I've never had ripped abs. I've always been in pretty good shape, but I like my Wendy's cheeseburgers too much. I like my pizza too much. And now that I'm adult, I like my whiskey.
Plagel's saying that the Hulk characters changed based on their inner identity. So Banner's was his anger, She-Hulk was strength and beauty, and
that's lame.
Intellect.
That's lame. Oh my God, that's lame. That's terribly lame. Lame as fuck.
Checkpoint said Bruce Timm made them sexual. DC just didn't do it right.
What about Todd McFarlane? What do you know if Todd McFarlane's running shit now?
I think they said Anthony Dark Gift. He said it's speculation at the moment.
Okay.
And Richard's saying we need more Thai subs on the stream. The gamma radiation enhances who they were. Their masculinity, femininity, their confidence. Bruce Banner's Hulk was more abused, so he started out as destructive, and She-Hulk hadn't had the terrible childhood. Some person, how dare you? How dare you? She-Hulk gets stared at in the street, okay? She-Hulk has male lawyers who don't like her. How dare you, some person?
Well, I hope you guys contribute to this campaign. I'm waiting to make my dinner until we're done with this interview.
You'll have to bring it up with Stan Lee, says some person.
But it's actually kind of cool to be able to talk to you, Allie. I mean, for people at home don't know, you and I have been communicating via social media for years.
Yeah. And you were always very patient with my rambling and my silly questions. Like, I'd sit there and think, I'm probably annoying him so much.
When people annoy me, I don't know. They normally know it. Wouldn't you say that, Abby? When I'm annoyed by somebody, they fucking know it. Oh, they fucking know it. And I won't let you talk shit around me. I'm just like, a lot of times I'll get up and I'll walk away, you know, like you're in a bar and stuff. I'm here in Lake Geneva, and I got to admit that people come here and they get smashed. They just get fucking wasted, and they talk a mile of shit. It's like, you need to shut up. Just shut up, man. You know, and there's a lot of weird sexual harassment here. You know, I've had to stand up for several inebriated ladies, and the dude was obviously trying to like get her smashed. And then when the lady's like, I don't really want to hang out with you anymore, the dude starts getting handy. It's like, hey man, I think she said no several times, brother. You know, I think she said no. Not that I needed to rescue her because she's a woman, but she was wasted. You know, just smashed out of her head. So there's a lot of that here. So you got to watch yourself in the bars. I don't really see gun violence here or knife violence here like I did in Los Angeles or on the south side of Chicago. But
you're to karaoke bar, right?
Oh, I love doing karaoke. Yeah, that's a new discovery for me. I discovered that I love doing karaoke after Waka's passing.
I kept asking people to drive me up there. I was like, guys, I know it's like 18 hours, but we need to go so that I can sing karaoke. Because no one will sing karaoke with me ever. It's so depressing.
Well, that's part of the fun. Even when you fuck up and fail, it makes it fun.
Well, I was gonna say earlier, like one of my favorite songs to sing in karaoke is "She Rides."
Ha ha! Mother. Yeah, Glenn's. Glenn's has a marvelous catalog, and that's a perfect song for you to sing karaoke to. Yeah, and I'd like to see that. That'd be interesting.
And the time I sang Paint It Black, and when I went off the stage, or no, not Paint It Black. I sang Beast of Burden, and when I got off the stage, I sat down, and the bartender, who was a lesbian, she hit on me. She was just like, I really enjoyed your thing. Like, you know, what are you doing after this? And I was like, you work with my boyfriend. Like, if I'm not here by myself. It was funny. A karaoke stream, it's not the same to do karaoke online though. Like,
no, it's not the same. Like my cable here has a setup like for the cable system to be able to. Yes, and I still have cable, folks at home. You know, still got some cable. I like to check out the competition, and frankly, I'll be honest, man. You know, streaming is cool and all, but fuck your internet. I have more fucking internet problems and streaming problems than I ever had with cable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'll be honest too. If you're a cinemaphile and you are really into the picture quality of your film, you're not getting HD or 4K through the internet. You're not. It isn't. All this shit is compressed to be streamed. Like I went through this with American Horrors. When we first did this, I actually had to do this in the summer after my wife died. I had to go in and I had to reformat our entire library of content because our viewership was going up, and it was clogging the pipe. I didn't have the bit rate set. I had to really crunch it down for the kilobytes per second. Excuse me, stuff like that. And it just was a fucking nightmare. But once I did it, it streams great. But that's not HD, man. It's compressed. It's compressed. You're not going to get the proper picture quality. And I'll give it to people like I'm not the biggest AMC fan, but their prints of their films and the films they show, they must have more bandwidth than the other cable channels because the picture quality on FX, on AMC, and Turner Classic Movies, the Turner Classic Movies channel, TMC, it looks so good. The transfers and the picture quality is so amazing. Like that's one of my favorite things to do is to see what is TMC going to play for October. You know, like October, I do a film festival in October. I normally do it on Halloween. I started it when my wife was dying in the hospital. I needed something to think about other than HART, your wife's about to fucking die, bro. Get ready to be single in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. Oh God. Whew. So I started the film festival, the American Horror Film Fest. And it was great to get my mind off of her death and to occupy myself. But also it gave me a leg up. So I got to see all the cutting edge films. I got to see who's the next big director, you know, like Scott Hansen from Bad Candy. Scott is a director that came out during the lockdown with his wife, his now wife, Desiree. And give a shout out to these guys. They just landed. They're going to premiere their new film at the Smod Castle, Kevin Smith's movie theater in I think Jersey. So they're going to premiere that in March there, and I've gotten to meet this whole network of amazing directors and artists and creators and writers. And so I feel I have my thumb on the pulse. And what I really, really want, you asked me about true crime. What I really want to do is I'm looking to take investment and do American Horror's first TV series, like not like an interview series, like a fictional series like Walking Dead. The one that comes to mind is what I'm working on is a lot more like the X-Files, you know, and it's based on my own research into Satanism and Satanists that are involved in our government, exorcism, real cults. I have a lot of experience with real cults, and it's a show that I want to raise the funds for, and I want to write the first season. I'm going to write the whole fucking thing, and I want to direct the pilot, and I want to direct the last one and bring in all these other directors. And then the second season, once I set the tone, I want to bring other people in because I really like the way that the director handled. He took over after Frank Darabont was fired from The Walking Dead, and he was a makeup effects guy. His name is eluding me right now, but he did that with Walking Dead, where he would direct the pilot or the opening season episode and the season closer, and it really worked for me, and I liked his work as a director. So I thought I wanted to do something like that. So that's something, and it mixes true crime in. It mixes in what I know about true crime, things I know. Like you're like, I don't know who Henry Lee Lucas is. I'm like, oh yeah, I do. I mean, I've had Charles Manson's people want to work with me. Charles Manson contacted me because he wanted me to release his country album. So I've had a lot of contact with these kinds of folks, and I've known a lot of people up and down the ladder. So I think that I can bring something to the series that is lacking. There's nothing on TV now that is anything. Stranger Things lost its buzz, and plus it's only around every once in a while. And
yeah, I stopped liking Stranger Things after season 2.
Now I saw season 1 and I liked it. And then when season 2 came out, I was going to sit down and watch it, but shit happened in my life, you know.
I really liked season 1. I thought it was really cool, but like it just.
I did too. I thought season 1 was fantastic. I understood why everybody liked it, and it was a nice throwback to like those Steven Spielberg kind of movies.
Have you seen The Black Phone?
No.
You have to see The Black Phone.
Why?
It is the best. It's not. I wouldn't call it a horror movie. It's like a paranormal movie. It is the best like movie that I've seen all year. In years, honestly. Yes. Really? Oh my gosh. It blew my mind. And I had very little hopes because I see a movie now and I'm always like, well, that sucked, you know, like, but this one, like,
the last thing I saw that
blew my mind. It was so well done.
Have you seen The Autopsy of Jane Doe?
No.
Get The Autopsy of Jane Doe. Here's a recommendation I would give to everybody out there. Okay, if you're looking at who releases the best horror films to Blu-ray and DVD, IFC Midnight. I have to give it to them. Those guys, whoever is their buyer there, whoever's just doing their line for IFC Midnight, because it's their DVD line or their Blu-ray line, so good. So many of those films are all so damn good. There's another one I would recommend too called Splinter that's been on cable recently, and it's involving like some other life form. You don't quite know what it is, but once it gets in you, thorns start coming out, and that's how it infects you. And any part of it can be moving. Like if you chop its hand off, it's running around, and these people get stuck at a gas station after they've been carjacked. It's really good.
Okay.
Geekasu, a lot of people say,
by the way, was saying that you scared EBS.
Huh?
Geekasu, he was saying that you scared Ethan.
scared him or made him a little nervous?
Oh, I guess started to get a little nervous. You made him nervous then.
Well, Ethan has certain triggers based on what's happened to him in his career and things that have happened. And he's kind of engaged in battle with folks on the internet. He's really decided to engage in battle with these guys, and he's in it. And so when you do that, and I think the subject matter he might be talking about is, it came up that he doesn't have any homosexual characters in Cyberfrog. And it's kind of my own fault. I wasn't letting Ethan explain why. I didn't care why. My point in the conversation was, it's up to the creator. If you, Allie, want to write a book about gay purple dinosaurs, you're the creator, you're the writer, you write the story that you feel you need to, instead of bowing down to somebody else outside of your creative process going, well, you really got to include the heterosexual pink dinosaurs. You get what I mean? And so it's when somebody else comes into your playground and tries to insert it, and I'm like, I fully believe in your right to create the story you want to create.
Sure.
I really believe in the artist's right to paint the painting they want to paint, to create the thing they want to create, as long as you're not like physically assaulting people, as long as you're not, doing something against somebody's will. Physical and mental are different things. They're very different things. So the notion that I'm emotionally upset by your book, well, goody two shoes for you. Okay, you're emotionally upset. So I think Ethan's caught a lot of flack for this. He's caught a lot of flack from folks looking for a way to get him, looking for a way to get under his skin, irritate him or bother him.
People who were never gonna read his book anyway.
Yeah. And so I think he was getting frustrated with me because I wasn't letting him tell me why in the story. He wasn't giving me the underpinnings of why in the story there aren't any homosexual characters. And from what I heard him saying, the brief bits he got out, I'm like, oh, okay, if that's the rules, all right. Okay, I get it. All right, so that kind of makes sense, but I didn't care. It wasn't important to me. It's like, you have every right to tell the story you want to tell,
Yeah.
My girlfriend right now, one of the guys that she was with before, well, he was transitioning to be a woman, and they had a whole relationship, so me and her had some very interesting conversations about what was that like to be in that relationship with that person. Because as a writer, I want to know. I'm really curious. I'm curious about people. I really want to know, well, what's that like for them? And I've got friends in all kinds of different places. And I always kind of, well, tell me a little bit about why you're doing this. You know what I mean? And I'm interested. I'm keen. I'm into it. I'm down.
Keen.
Oh, somebody else backed you up. The black phone was very surprising. Ethan Hawke was in it?
Yeah.
I like Ethan Hawke. I really liked
The Northman?
No, I haven't seen The Northman.
That was good too.
Is Ethan Hawke in it?
I think so.
The one I liked is where the families would kill themselves. They would all like hang themselves. Was that Insidious? No, that's not it.
I don't know. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, Kevin Bacon. No, is it Kevin Bacon? It might be Kevin Bacon. Sometimes those guys seem like interchangeable in their roles. It's Insidious or something, and it's involving a spirit, and it involves like a projector, and like the people living in the house, eventually the family, they all kill themselves. They all hang themselves. Do you know what I mean? It starts with a whole family hanging from a tree outside their house.
Oh, well, Black Phone is about it's about a serial killer, and he's been kidnapping little boys. And
I'm gonna agree with Geek Hazu and go, I got bored with Barbarian. I turned it off.
Oh, I didn't see it.
But anyway, go back. Tell me about Black Phone.
The serial killer in Black Phone, he kidnaps little boys and keeps them in this room that has a mattress and then like a little toilet around the corner.
I've seen all the trailer.
Yeah. Well, and then there's this black phone on the wall that isn't connected to anything. And this little boy is the the one who's taken for this movie is the one that like you're with him through this movie, but you're also with his sister, and his sister has like dreams about ways that she can help find him after her brother's taken. And it's really emotional because her mom, like you find out her mom used to have these same kinds of dreams, and it like freaks her dad out, so he's like really abusive because their mom killed themselves, like, and it was all done so well, like, and with kid actors, you know, you never know, but these are great actors. Yeah, there's a black phone, Richard. But what's happening to the little boy when he's in this, like, you know, basement with this crazy dude, who's Ethan Hawke, the phone starts ringing. And when he picks it up, it's the souls of the boys who he has killed to help him get out. And so they're helping him get out while the girl's having these visions that help her find the bodies of the boys, so that so that they can be laid to rest, so her brother can be saved. It was so good. I cried twice in it. Like, I love it so much, and watching it, like, it felt like how I used to feel going to see a movie where I'd leave and I was like, I want to see it again. Like, I was energized. It was so good. It's crazy good. It's in my top 10 favorite movies now, right up there with City of Lost Children and
that genre. The whole person kept in a dungeon, person kept in the basement, person kept in a back bedroom, person kept in a secret place, and part of that is because of the film festival. Because I have to admit, part of the reason I had no interest in seeing Black Phone is because of that plot. Because for American Horror, the film festival, I watch every movie that comes in.
Sure.
Everyone. I'm the judge. There is no committee. I feel that who the fuck else is going to be able to know more about this genre than me to vote on what should be in the festival and what's going to look best on the big screen? Because our festival is a theater festival. We're at the movie theater. So it's important how that movie is going to sound and how it's going to look. Like Scott Hansen's Bad Candy was so damn good. My mom watched it 2 nights in a row. Yeah. And so for the submissions that came in, like for the summer of 2021, we had 272 submissions. It was insane. And so many of these goddamn films were all guy kidnaps roller girl and keeps her in the house. Guys making sex slaves. Now, the guy making sex slaves, that movie was fucking good. That's Larry. What was that movie, Abby? Girl Next.
Girl Next.
Girl Next is on Tubi. It's on Tubi right now. And what I would say is, if you ever can get the chance to see that motherfucking movie on a big screen, it is a different film than what it is on a television set. And that was something I really got to learn from doing the film festival, because it comes in as a submission first. And I'm watching it on my home theater. So I'm watching it on my big TV, and I don't even have the most giant TV in the world. I kind of have TV envy. It seems like everybody else has got like a wall for a television, and I do not. I might get in my business. So this, I learned this because you'd see the film on video first, or and home on your TV, and then you'd see it on the big screen, and you could tell what really worked and what didn't. You get what I mean? Like stuff that would work as a video did not work, but we got just hit with those kinds of films. We had 2 of them in the last festival last year. Actually, 2 of them in the festival, and there was a 3rd film just like that I wanted to run in the festival because it was pretty decent, but I couldn't have 3 of these goddamn things. No, I couldn't have 3. It was too much. Far too much.
Look, even Plagle's saying that you need to watch it because it's not what you think it is.
Yeah, that's what he's saying. So I will probably check it out. You know, I do like Insidious. I do like The Conjuring. I like James Wan. I actually think James Wan is a very good director. I got to meet him a long time ago at a Fangoria horror convention. Him and his partner, right around the time they did Saw. The very first one. And I think I liked the very first Saw film. I got bored with the how long can we torture him for? That shit gets boring for me. And then I made my own.
I think I've only seen the first two.
I
remember the first one blew my mind. Like it, you know, spoiler alert for anyone in my chat, I guess. At the end, like my mouth dropped open and I was just like, no way. Like, I was like, this is crazy. My whole brain was exploding. But I mean, I think I was like 18 when that came out. So, you know, I wasn't very far into seeing all that stuff still. So my chat gets mad that I haven't seen all the quote unquote like classics. But I mean, I feel like I have time, and there's so many.
There's plenty. There's plenty. And you know, there's always more. There's always more being made. And the other, I'm going to go back to the person kept prisoner in the dungeon bunker.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Because I made one of those movies. I did it with a comic publisher that I used to be partnered up with until he stabbed me in the back and stole the movie. It was the Flowers and the Razor Wire feature film, and it's done. It had its 6.1 surround sound mix, and the director just totally hosed me, recut the movie behind my back. I was a 1/3 cash partner. I cut the film, and it involved a congressman having his daughter, like a scared straight thing. He had this guy kidnap the daughter. I don't know if this thing will ever get released, like the version that's supposed to be out there, because me and the guy had a falling out, and it's not worth it for me to pursue legally to get the rights to air it, even though it is the Flowers and the Razor Wire feature film. And you know what? I got to watch it again. It's funny. I ended up watching it. I was just at my mom's house, cleaning up and arranging her stuff and figuring out what to do with everything. And me and my buddy Trike were watching this film, the Flowers and the Razor Wire feature, and I forgot how fucking good it was. It actually was really damn good, and I was blown away. And Terry M. West is the villain, and it has a nastiness to it, a meanness to it. Because I feel so much of these modern horror films are completely bland. They don't have anything. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'll be honest. I started to watch Terrifier, the first one, and it just didn't do anything for me. I tried to watch The Devil's Rejects, and I just really didn't like it. It didn't do anything for me, you know?
I saw Devil's Rejects before I saw House of a Thousand Corpses.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw it in theaters with my boyfriend at the time. Mm-hmm. And I remember it was packed. Mm-hmm. And I was just like the year before was the first time I ever I've been allowed to listen to Rob Zombie. So it was very strange. And I go in and it's totally packed, and it's packed with dates. So like it's dudes and their chicks. And it's a pretty small town in Loveland, Colorado. Mm-hmm. And it was funny because you could tell these women were there because they kept dragging like their boyfriends to see rom-coms, and this was like the compromise. Oh, well, now we get to go see my movie. And so we're in there, and you know the part where like and these girls are like the whole time, and I was just like, how many more ways do we have to watch somebody die? Like I mean, okay. And the part where Otis like takes this piece of fence and he just like swings up and he hits that guy in the balls on the ground. Mm-hmm. I laughed out loud, which I don't know why I thought it was so funny, but I just laughed out loud because it was so ridiculous. And I was the only person who laughed. It was very weird because the rest of the time there was tons of people laughing at stuff, but I was the only one that laughed. And all the guys in there were just like, oh, like they all leaned forward and like grabbed themselves, including the guy that I was with. And all of their girlfriends like were like, oh, it's okay. And then there was me laughing. And the guy next to us looks over and was like, I'm sorry, man. Like, yeah, like,
how about this? Hey, man, I'm sorry you're such a pussy.
No, it was, hey, I'm sorry your girlfriend is laughing at your like fake pain. I was like,
You're laughing at the movie. You're laughing at. I mean, that's like. How many nut shots have we seen on Ridiculous and Tosh.0 and Jackass? And a nut shot's funny, man.
It was just a weird, like, seeing that movie was a weird cinema experience. I was like, I don't know. Everyone was really into it in a weird way. Just with the, it was like a movie in the movie. It's like, why is everybody so, like, freaked out? Like, I'm not sitting there like, oh, my face hurts. Like, it was just silly.
I didn't think the movie was. They should have stayed dead at the end of The Devil's Rejects. They should have stayed dead.
The ending to that movie, it takes like 20 years. I was like, did you have to play the whole song, Rob? Like, did you really?
You mean Freebird?
Yeah. The whole song. Yo, why did you do this? I'm sitting there like, it's not done yet, and it's in slow motion, and it won't stop. I was like, can we go? Like,
I gotta admit, I loved it. I dug it. I loved it. I loved that the song played because people said the same thing in House of a Thousand Corpses when Otis shoots the police officer, and it's a long shot going up, up, up,
mm-hmm.
up.
Yeah, I like House of a Thousand Corpses more than Devil's Rejects, but I like Otis in Devil's Rejects better than in House of a Thousand Corpses.
I like him in both. Just Devil's Rejects, just to me, I'm not Devil's Rejects, just Three from Hell just didn't do anything for me.
I haven't seen it. I didn't see the point. I was like, in my mind, that's the end. I don't want to risk watching another 10-minute slow motion scene with Freebird in it. I can't do it. That was the scariest part for me, really.
I haven't watched, there's some horror films that I really like, but it ain't like I'm going to be watching them again anytime soon.
Yeah.
And to me, Devil's Rejects is kind of one of them. I mean, I really loved it when it came out. And it just some of his dialogue.
Once it can be hard to watch it again because you're like, I got to put 20 years in between watching Saw so that I forget some things.
Yeah, it doesn't do that much for me, but I really liked Lords of Salem. I really enjoyed Lords of Salem quite a bit. I thought that was great.
Well, Plagle's saying the black phone's not as heavy on the torture angle, and it's not. It is more of a supernatural mystery type thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
And
you asked me about The Lady in White. The Lady in White was a spooky movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I saw that he said that. Dan, it was very spooky.
Similar in tone.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was a haunted house film. I mean, I find that I like the haunted stuff because it is spooky and it's mysterious and what's in the dark. I like monster stuff. The torture porn just bores me. Saw doesn't do anything for me. I don't know. Like,
what about
people just tied to a bed and tortured does nothing for me. It really doesn't do anything for me. And I know I've known Stephen Byro a long, long time, and Stephen does a lot of that stuff through Unearthed Films.
What about Hostel? That was a big deal when it came out.
I liked Hostel a lot. Actually, yeah? I thought Eli Roth has been kind of a major disappointment to me because he came out of the gate so good, so hard, and I've just been disappointed with so much of his output. His remake of Deadly Games with the new one he called it something else, and Keanu Reeves with the two psycho chicks that keep Keanu Reeves prisoner in his house and fuck with him and torture him after fucking him. He thinks he's gonna have a nice little threesome, and he has a threesome. He has a nice threesome, but it goes into a different place. It starts off nice and then it goes dark. But the original Deadly Games is so much better from the 70s. I haven't liked what he's done. He's okay as an actor. I like him as an actor.
Hey, can we play the you sold a book, by the way, on your Indiegogo during this stream.
Hallelujah. Thank you, guys.
But
Thank you very much.
Can we go through before we answer Richard's question here, can we go through the Indiegogo page while you're here? and watch the trailer and stuff?
Mm-hmm. I'll tell you what, you guys watch the trailer, and I got to get up. We've been doing this for a while, and I was holding it. So you go ahead and play the trailer, and I'm going to go do my business, and I'll be right back.
Okay.
And then we can go through that. And then probably going to have to call it a night after that. So I'm getting hungry.
Okay.
Oh. Oh. I don't know how they fucking talked me into this, but I grabbed this goddamn shirt out of a box in my mom's fucking attic, and Jesus Christ, I look like a sausage link.
In the underground lair of an upstart publisher, the saga of Jeffrey Dahmer unfolds in the pages of a not-so-comic book.
It's something you can't get anywhere else. I mean, if you like the truth, you like something a little different, something a little bit more fresh, a little bit more bloody, we've got something.
Outraged families of Dahmer's victims have successfully sued to block further publication of the strip.
And we find that this book written by
absolutely repugnant. But here in America, you're allowed to publish and print whatever you want. We have all kinds of books about all kinds of murderers. We have movies about Adolf Hitler. What right does a group have to go and try and ban the publication?
Art Fisher is being sued by family members of Dahmer's victims for using their names and likenesses in his comics. But Fisher says his real concern is with the family's determination to have the comics banned.
Basically, the only reason they're here is so you can profit directly on their pain live while it happens right here. That's the only reason they're here. You brought them here for one reason.
She's not profiting.
I'm not profiting anything. She's making thousands and thousands of dollars by you crying on TV, suffering on TV. I did a comic book about a killer as a journalistic exercise.
We let you know that we do not like your comic book.
The whole talk show industry is based on festering wounds. You take people, you exploit them right there.
Did you try to sue over this?
Yes, I did, and I lost through the First Amendment, and I've had that up to here, too.
If it does bother her heart, what's the problem in apologizing?
Well, the problem is this. Why don't you go out and create your own product?
And write a book on what it's like to be a black called a Caucasian who becomes a victim?
Something like that.
I've been through a lot on the south side of Chicago. So when it came time to do my own comic book company, well, Boneyard Press was about that primal scream for life in the face of death. I remember sitting in my father's kitchen. We were having breakfast. He lived in Country Club Hills. And, and he's like, so this company you're doing is Boneyard Press, huh? Yeah, Dad. Yeah, it's the Boneyard Creek in Champaign, right? It's the Boneyard Creek. And I'm like, no, Dad, it means my back is against my grave and I'm going forward or I'm going to die. I'm going forward or I'm going to die. That's where I'm coming from. This is what I'm doing. If I don't succeed, I'm going to tumble into my own goddamn grave. So I'm going to go over everything and everyone in front of me.
Boneyard Press, their titles include Dark Angel, Bill the Bull, Outlaw Nation, Jeffrey Dahmer, the unauthorized biography, Kill Image, Kill Marvel. He's no stranger to controversy. Hero Illustrated called him the most dangerous man in comics. Welcome to Cartoonist Kayfabe, Art D. Fisher.
This fucking thing's a large. I mean, this thing's tighter than the last one. You guys think this looks better?
Yeah, it doesn't show as much. It's black.
You guys are high. It's a large.
It's slimming.
What do you mean slimming?
It's slimming. You don't look sausagey.
All right, you fuckers. Let's roll this.
Okay. He's not back yet. Oh, there he is. That is the same person. They were Richard was saying that your hair is dark now because it's blonde. It's blonde when you were younger. It's so blonde on television.
Well, to be honest with you, might be some of the lighting, but it was a lot lighter then, you know, and I was living in California. I'm out here in Wisconsin and I'm not in the sun as much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's funny that you're in Colorado because Groovy TV was based out of Denver.
I'm not in Colorado anymore. I moved to Florida.
Gotcha.
But I was there. I used to go to the church every weekend.
The church where? The what?
The church. That's where Denver has like their goth night, like their big goth night.
Oh, okay.
It's in an old church and it's just called the church.
Gotcha.
So everybody, this is his Indiegogo.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look, there's another one. Oh, free speech rally.
Oh, you gotta watch that.
I do? Okay.
It's short.
Campaign man who wrote the controversial Jeffrey Dahmer comic books is throwing a fundraiser at Mabel's in Champaign tonight to help offset legal fees. Hart Fisher is being sued by 5 family members of Dahmer's victims for using their names and likenesses in his comics. But Fisher says his real concern is with the family's determination to have the comics banned.
Regret it? Do you wish now that you just, at this point, you're wishing, why me?
Sometimes I do, but most of the time I figure, hey, you got to stick to your guns till you're in your grave, or else you'll spend your life bowing down to everybody else's needs and dictations instead of following your own inner voice.
Fisher says he originally started the comic books to portray the real Jeffrey Dahmer, a man he says was being turned into a celebrity by mass media.
You have the other one. How's the opinion on?
So in that one, you kind of look like a surfer guy.
Well, my friends here in Lake Geneva refer to that era of me as Baby Heart.
Richard says heart throb.
Well, thank you, Richard. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Fans of H.P. Lovecraft. I've never read any.
Oh, I love H.P. Lovecraft. He's fantastic. Yeah, I like his work. But his work is tough to read because the style of the language is so... You're going to need a thesaurus or a dictionary to figure out what the hell some of this stuff is. I got an interesting story about the free speech rally, though. An interesting experience with that. At that time, I was at the University of Illinois in Champaign-Urbana. Yeah, excuse me. Bring this back a little bit. Okay, so my friends, I was a bouncer at the local bar, that bar Mabel's. That's the bar I was the bouncer at. So I was a bouncer there, and or doorman. And so I was a bouncer there, and that's why we did the free speech rally. And so I had gotten my art degree there, you know, from the University of Illinois. I have a bachelor's degree in fine and applied arts, and my specialty was painting. And so I was in this department, and I took a lot of writing classes, and you're an artist, and my friends were all in bands and stuff. So they all went out, and they were going and telling people, hey, we're doing a free speech rally at Mabel's. Hey, we're playing a free speech rally. And it was hilarious because all the drama students and all the actors and all the, quote, painters and all the, quote, artists and all the, quote, folks that would believe in the First Amendment and believe in freedom of expression, they were all like, I this kept coming back to me from my friends. Oh, yeah, free speech rally. Yeah, I'm down, man. That sounds great. Oh, it's going to be at Mabel's? Oh, fantastic. Who's it for? What's it for? Oh, it's for Hart Fisher because they're trying to censor and ban his comic book. The Dahmer guy? I can't support that. I'm not going. So you're for free speech, but just not free speech for everybody, huh?
Yeah.
See that reflected quite a bit here. This farming out of free speech and censoring it to private corporations is fascism, guys. It is what the Nazis did, folks. And it's also what the communists did in Russia. Hey!
Yep. So in many ways, you're like the the grandfather of this whole Comicsgate thing.
Well, that's what Ethan was saying. Ethan was like saying, you know, dude, you are the original Comicsgate guy. And I thought, and I started at, because I struggled with this, because one of my best friends runs the comic book store in town. So we do talk about comics, and me and Max DeVille are pals. So Max is now publishing through Atrocity Press. And so we talk about comics, and we talk about like who's doing well and how are things going with the business, and who's reading what. And none of us could figure out what exactly Comicsgate was. But then I heard Ethan arguing with somebody last night. I was actually working on the Big Book of Dahmer campaign, because I'm putting it all the design stuff. I've been unhappy with some of the other stuff. I mean, I wanted to do it. I like graphic design. So I've been working on all this Big Book of Dahmer while I'm finalizing the Build a Bull omnibus. So I've been going back and forth between the two projects. When I get bored with one, I go move over to the other one. And so he broke it down better. Because he was saying that when I was doing the interview with him, and I was hesitant and resistant to it.
Sure.
But it seemed to me that he was saying that what was happening was when he was working for DC or what have you, I'm not sure where, but he was involved in the mainstream comic industry. And so he felt that they were trying to force him to inject these characters into his stories that he didn't want to put in the stories. And he felt that these things weren't going to sell. And I was like, so somebody trying to censor you, and somebody trying to make you change your work for their dictates, and trying to make you change your story to match their worldview. And yeah, that's exactly what happened to me. And the stuff they wanted me to change was ridiculous. They made this controversy up. There was no controversy over the Dahmer thing without the mass media.
Yeah.
Without the mass media, and without the gentlemen and ladies who manipulated the victims' families so they could have their avenue to fame. Yeah, I'm talking about you, Arch Murchison and Janetta Robinson. I'm talking about both you people. When they say you people, I'm talking because I know you. I know both of you. That's why I said you people, Arch and Janetta, you two jagoffs. Yeah. It's them. They use the victims' families to get themselves on TV, which to me makes me sick. I didn't try for the Dahmer to be a controversy. I never thought the Kill Image book was going to be controversial. I like Mad Magazine and Crazy and Crack, and I just write for myself, and you never know what's going to offend somebody. There's just no policing. You never ever know what will offend somebody. And then when I tried to create a controversy, it never worked. Anytime I tried to instigate something, never worked. Never ever worked. You know what I mean? But
well, Richard is right. He said, normies, I'm not going to go to a rally for a guy who made a comic about someone who did bad things. I'm going to stay home and watch Dateline.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So the Big Book of Dahmer, I want people to be able to read the book, you know, and we're looking at like 154 pages. The dean, you know, David Hayes, is a true crime expert. He's a horror director, a horror author. I believe he did the Rotten Tail as one of his movies. And he's known me for years. He's a true crime he has degrees in forensic science, and he's social media or media studies, and he works with the police, and he works with does writing programs with prisoners that are incarcerated. Mm-hmm. And so he has been helping me figure out some of why the media did to me what they did, the tool that they needed me to be, which I refused to be, and why they're pretty much afraid of anybody discovering me. They were afraid to say my name in that movie. That monster on Netflix, to show my books and alter the covers, they were terrified of the public discovering me, because I tell the truth and I tell it like it is. Yeah. And I speak to power, and I like to beard the lion in its den. And frankly, I'm smarter than those assholes who made those movies. I'm smarter than those fucking jagoffs. And frankly, they may have more money than me, but I like what I'm doing better. I wouldn't want to make a Dahmer 10-episode miniseries. I wouldn't want to do that. I have no interest in making that. I really do like the Charles Manson movie that, God, I'm going to forget his name again. Phil Anselmo was one of the final producers on it. It's called The Manson Family. Van Beber, that's the director, Van Beber. It's my favorite Charles Manson film.
Did you like Mindhunter?
Which one?
Mindhunters?
I started to watch that because I've read all those books. I've read the books, the profiling books from them and the other one, Walk with Monsters. I read a lot of psychological books. I do a lot of research, you know what I mean? So I can try to get it right. And if I get it wrong, I want to get it right. Like with the Dahmer book, they all got angry at me. I was on Larry King, and in the Larry King interview, there's a black man in drag, and he is upset with me because he's portrayed as a white woman, not a black woman in there. And I thought it was a really odd, I'm like, you're selling the cookware that your brother was murdered with and cooked with, and you want to sell that. But the thing you're complaining about on Larry King is the fact that my artist didn't get your race correct in the comic book.
Is that legal?
What?
To sell that? That's insane.
Well, it is legal. That's called serial killer memorabilia, you know, serial killer culture. That'd be a great documentary for you to watch.
Wouldn't it be like, I don't know, in the police station?
Well, what happens is after the trial, and you know, Dahmer was, I believe he was dead by this point, if I'm not mistaken. So you don't need that for the trial anymore.
So
trial's over. He's dead. You don't need it anymore. You get what I mean? Like one of the very, very sad things, all these people that want to talk about crime, and they want to talk about a travesty. Let's talk about all the rape kits that have expired because our government has not allocated the funds to process the rape kits in a timely fashion. There are literally thousands of rapists that have been enabled to continue to rape women and rape people and rape children because our government is unwilling to fund and process all the rape kits. It's a dirty secret about true crime. It's a little dirty secret about law enforcement.
Wow.
And it tells you how much they actually do fucking care about women. This is how much you actually care about women. Okay.
Yeah.
And a dirty little fact in Los Angeles, and they say defund the police. Ladies and gentlemen at home, when they say defund the police, what you really mean is demilitarize.
Yeah.
You want to take away the machine guns and demilitarize them because in Los Angeles, they don't have enough of a budget to keep the homicide cops working all the time. They build up so much overtime that the cops' cases go unsolved because there's not enough money to pay the homicide detectives to go all the way through the case. You feel me? And now we have this issue now where they're changing all the bail to scare everybody so that you have violence in the streets and you have looting in the streets. But now I'm getting political, aren't I? Yes, I am. I did do political radio. I mean, I'm right by Chicago. I grew up on the south side of Chicago. There's nothing that anybody's going to tell me on Twitter that I'm like, come on, I got friends here. I'm here. Boots on the ground, guys. I know what's going on. I don't need you to tell me. I got friends in law enforcement.
I never said you couldn't say anything. So
not you, Ellie, not you. Just, you know how it is.
Well, this the Big Book of Dahmer TPOG.
Trade paperback.
Okay, thank you.
It's tricky because they don't give you a lot of room to put the title in. Like they only give you, it's like Twitter. They only give you X amount of space to put in the titles. So that's why it's TP, trade paperback, and hopefully people will read the description.
So if you get that, then you're getting all 4 of the comics in a 1,000. Oh my God.
No,
1,
it's not 1,000. It's 150-page, 4-page.
Oh, okay. 1. Sorry. I was like, holy crap.
Sorry.
Okay. Sorry.
And that is
my bad.
Was corrected on all the others. And because essentially it's a 154-page book. It's a trade paperback. And we have several alternative covers. The first ones that we put up are the original covers. So the variants right now are the original bio cover, The cover I drew, The Further Adventures of Young Jeffrey Dahmer. The Jeffrey Dahmer versus Jesus Christ book cover, which is a wraparound that I drew. That's mine. I drew that.
This one?
And, yep. Funny story about that is I created it, colored it. I mean, I did the whole thing the night before I had to go to print with the book because the original artist blew the deadline.
Oh my gosh.
So I had to draw that the night before. That's going to be one of the wraparound covers. And this is one of the things that they altered was this cover here. They photoshopped the cross off the front of the shorts and put it on the side. And they made his hair shorter for some reason.
That's weird.
Yeah, they made his hair shorter and they did some other weird stuff. Very slight, very, very slight. So it's really weird when you see your artwork altered like that. When all they could have done is just sent me some paperwork and I would have signed it and sent it back and they just could have had the fucking comic book in there.
It was like they didn't.
Here's another thing. Because of the Dahmer special, because of their portrayal of my work and the way they threw my artists under the bus, that's why this is being done. I'm doing it because everybody wants to read these books. I've resisted publishing this stuff for decades. I just walked away from it because it had so many loaded emotions for me, especially that whole time was just insane around the time 92, 93. So you can get those and we have add-ons. So if you want to get all four, you could do that. You can get all four covers on the book. And Ethan Van Sciver is writing the epitaphs. Now, if you're a Boneyard reader, you know that I normally am the one writing the epitaphs. That's my editorial. But I liked what Ethan had to say about Comicsgate, and I wanted to see where he was going to take it. And I respect what he's done with his business. I really respect how he dusted himself off and embraced crowdfunding and went out and said, you know what, you guys aren't going to tell me what to do. I'm going to go do my own book. And when I was on his show, I think me and Ethan were getting into it because he's like, they won. And I'm like, dude, you're doing aren't you doing better than when you were at DC? Aren't you happier doing this? Because he seems pretty happy doing the Cyber Frog. And those toys look great, man. I used to love these toys called the Micronauts. So his Cyber Frog toys look like fun. And we have David Hayes, the true crime expert, writing an intro. And we've got a lot of interesting pinups coming into there. And we're looking for some of the stretch goals to, if we hit like $5,000, we're going to put in a lot. We've got another article that was written by William Christian from when he was running Comic Cavalcade. William is the publisher of Avatar. It was Will's idea to do Dahmer versus Christ. Will wanted me to have Dahmer nailing Christ to the cross. And I'm like, no, man, I'm not doing that. Someone's going to shoot me in the head for that one. I ain't doing that. No way, man. Plus, I felt, Jesus is in heaven hanging out with all the baddest martial artists around, and he's palling around with Bruce Lee. So there's no fucking way Dahmer, who snaked people and attacked people from behind, there's just no way that Jesus is going to lose to Dahmer.
Right.
So, yeah, I'll spoiler alert. Jesus beats the shit out of Dahmer. Spoiler alert. And those books are satire. Those books are funny. They're very like, if you're a Mad Magazine fan or Cracked or Crazy or any of the satire, if you're a fan of Saturday Night Live, you're going to love the Dahmer. Because I've been going through it all. I've been going through all the books, and I forgot how funny they were. They're really, really funny. I'm going to be posting up more artwork tomorrow. So we're doing this, Tuesday night. We're now into Wednesday. I've got digital packages that are going to go up. So the digital packages are cheaper because I don't have shipping. So there's digital packages going up, and there are more downloads. And I've got a lot of neat stuff. We've got trading cards in the works. We have stickers, buttons. We've got bookmarks. If you do your donation or your contribution, that's what it is. You do your campaign contribution on Thanksgiving on Thursday, the day Jeffrey Dahmer was killed, you're going to get a baby bib perk. Jeffrey Dahmer baby bib. That's right, Jeffrey Dahmer baby bib. And then we're going to be putting another special deal where we're going to put a code in a commercial on American Horror Classic. So you're going to have to go to the American Horror Classic channel, go check it out online or check it out on Roku. I recommend the Roku experience. It's great. But I will say, if you watch these channels through the website, you can pause them.
Yeah.
I noticed that. And I'm like, wow, that's new. How did that fucking happen? We didn't do that. We didn't set it up to do that. And I'm like, it won't do that on Roku. And I'm like, how the fuck is this happening? So we'll have a code and a commercial up on there on Friday night, and we'll be playing it. And so that code will get you another really cool perk that's free. It's going to be a vintage Boneyard Press comic book is going to be included in your order if you have a physical product. So I'm looking for lots of fun, cool stuff. I had a great time coming up with this stuff for Build a Bull. And I think it's hilarious that I got almost all the other Build a Bull extras and perks like put together and done and printed. And it's been a nightmare trying to get the Build a Bull Omnibus done. I've been having problems with the color correction. I was unhappy with what was done first. And then I had problems launching the American Horrors Classic channel. I've had we had 3 different floods in the new house where I'm at now that I lost $5,000 of collectible Boneyard merchandise from these multiple floods. Some artwork got damaged. I lost like $5,000 worth of merch and my insurance wouldn't cover it. So I've been dealing with a lot of these natural disasters. Like, what the fuck now? And that's why I'm like, winter's here. And I pulled myself out of the bar scene here in town. There's a pretty heavy bar scene. And I pulled myself out of that. I've been pulling myself off of drinking too much or partying too much. I didn't go to karaoke for a full goddamn month and a week, which I normally would like to go. I like to go once a week. It's like a stress relief for me, you know?
Yeah.
And it's fun. I really like it. I really come to enjoy it. There's some great singers there. It's a bar called Fat Cats. My friend Morgan Foley does karaoke over at Foley's Bar on Friday nights in town. Foley's Irish Springs restaurant, fantastic food over there. Great place. Foley family, good people. I've really been treated well by the businesses in Lake Geneva. It's really been nice, especially the way people talk about me in these specials and the hate mail coming in. It's like, anybody who knows me knows I'm cool. I'm chill. You know what I mean? I'm fun. I can be loud and obnoxious, though.
Well, that's fine.
I don't think you're believing me. I don't think you think I could be loud and obnoxious.
I think you can be loud.
Oh, no, I could get bad, especially if I start getting into my cups. When I start getting loaded, I stop caring if anybody else thinks it's funny. If I think it's funny, then it's fucking funny. And the other thing I'm going to be adding to this campaign is some limited signed editions. I've been talking to artists, and I'm going to say this first. I haven't announced it, but one of my old friends, the artist Mark Beecham, has come forward and volunteered to do an alternative Dahmer cover. I've got an artist, Joe Janowski, who worked with Boneyard in the beginning. He's doing an alternative cover that's really, really going to get people. He's doing the Dahmer book. What do they call it? Cutie style? Those cutie cartoons, the big eyes and stuff.
Oh, chibi?
Maybe like Garbage Pail Kids type stuff, or it's a particular design, pop art style. And okay. I just saw the pencils for it, and it's so good. And then our original artist Nelson Danielson, who did the Dahmer versus Christ book, he's doing a new cover. So I've got lots of cool stuff. We're going to be adding to the campaign as we go. And if people, oh, what is this? Oh, Dan wants to get in on this. Oh, fuck yeah, Dan. Of course you do. Oh man, one of the dudes who volunteered, one of the artists, this guy Andrew. And I don't want to use his last name because I don't know how to pronounce it correctly yet. Andrew came forward and wants to do a piece for me, a cover for me, and he's doing a cover where I'm in hell. And I'm ripping Dahmer apart limb from limb. I'm just tearing his guts out. I'm just ripping him apart.
Nice.
And that's one. So, Dan, if you want to do a cover, hit me up on social media tomorrow. Definitely. Let's do something for real, dude.
Richard wants to know. What?
I already wanted him on Babylon Crush for that omnibus because Dan drew a bunch of the Babylon stories. Babylon started off as a pretty hardcore characters. It wasn't a mature reader's book, but it went that way because people kind of expected it from me. Mm-hmm. And with Dan and his style of art, Babylon became a lot more funny, and we introduced a different character, Ginger Hill, who was a feature dancer and an adult film star based out of St. Louis. and we were friends, and she was one of the Boneyard Bitches. Dan remembers Ginger.
Richard wants to know what your dream project is.
I want to do this TV series for American Horrors. I know that, okay, last year we had 8 million viewers, and we had average watch time of 32 minutes without any support from Fangoria or Rue Morgue or Bloody Disgusting or any of those horror news sites. None of them have helped to promote us. And I don't understand it because our channel's free. We're totally free.
I'm a news editor on Gore Culture. I can do an editorial over there.
That would be fantastic. That would be, thank you very much. That would be really great because we've managed to build this without any press. You know, we built year after year, just doing a good job, trying to get better, doing better promos. American Horrors actually is my dream project. It really is. But what I want now is I really want to do this TV series. That's what I want. I really want to do, and I know it'll be a hit, and I know it's going to knock people out because I've been doing research on exorcism and Satanism. Well, Satanists have tried to recruit me to their cults. You know what I mean? They've tried to recruit me to their groups, but I'm a lot like Groucho Marx, you know, and I don't really want to be a part of any group that would have me. So I know a ton of them. I know a ton of these guys, and I've kind of explored their philosophies and wanted to see what they were about. And also I want to get it right when I write about it. So I know Lucian Greaves from is he the Temple of Set? God, I forget sometimes. I know the LeVays, you know, from the Church of Satan. In fact, I was just on the phone with a friend of mine who's a satanic chef who I haven't talked to in a long time. Hey, Adam, how's it doing, buddy? Adam Dodge. And he's a satanic chef, and he does a satanic catering company in Salem, Massachusetts. So there is a wing of Satanists that are in the military. So there's military Satanists, including a gentleman that was part of the MK Ultra program with the CIA. And that guy looks like he stepped out of Satanic Central Casting. Then there is also a lot of people don't know that when you deal with the Masons, there is a branch of the Masons in the military, and the Masons in the military are very different than the civilian Masons. Yeah. So I want to get into this series, all this stuff that I know. Fictionalize a lot of the real stuff.
My dad's dad was in the military Masons. So this is the add-ons, like when you press like what you're gonna order.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the Zombie Squad. That's Young Jeffy.
Yep.
That's Dahmer versus Christ.
And I'm gonna be making that as a poster too. We're gonna be doing that as an 11x17 poster.
Oh, cool. Oh, that's the poster.
Mm-hmm.
And this is your book.
Yep, that's an American Horror Story because I felt it was very appropriate to go with the Dahmer book because it's the behind the scenes of like me being on Sally Jesse. One of the chapters is all about me being on that show in New York. It's about my experiences at Michelle's murder trial. And I would like to later on, I'd like to finish the book. I set out the book to write it in 3 sections. And I was going to split them up by murder trials. So the first part of the book starts right with I'm making the garbage man, and my father shows up from the motel where she works and where he was staying. He's like, son, you got trouble. I'm like, what do you mean, Dad? He's like, you got a lot more trouble than this movie. Something's going on over there with Michelle. And it starts right from there. And it's told first person central. And since you know my poetry, it's written a lot like my poetry, Allie. It just is bam, bam, bam. And it's written first person central. So it's a pretty damn gripping read. And it takes you behind a lot of what I dealt with and the violence and what was going on in my life then. So it's, in my opinion, that I think is one of the biggest reasons they never uttered my name, Hart Fisher, in the series, because they needed me to be mysterious so they could keep damning me, so they could keep downing me, because anybody who gets to know me as a person, anybody who gets to know my story, they're going to look at that show and their portrayal of me or my work and know that they're lying. They are lying through their damn teeth. They really
don't want
are.
people to look you up.
That's correct. They do not. I'm a dirty little secret. I'm the dirty secret of Netflix's Dahmer series. And it's even weird, too, because you look at it, me and my friend were talking, and we're like, dude, it's really weird how selective they were. It's a show, and you got 10 episodes, and the protest march on my house was insane. That footage is online. If you guys go to the youtube.com/crime-pays-HART, you guys can see the protest march footage. You could see what was going on. And you would think that that would be perfect for their series. If you're going to bring the comic book in and you're going to be doing this, you would think, I think someone should contact me and make a movie about what happened to me. I could be, they could do a Dahmer movie and have me tell my Dahmer story.
Yeah.
My interaction with Dahmer, and sure, you could totally reenact it. I had stalkers. I had death threats. My house got robbed. My friends were threatened. It would make riveting. It would make a riveting show. And that's something that, and then I'm making The Garbage Man, which is about a black serial killer. And the reason he's a serial killer is because he was abused as a child. His mother was a white hooker, and she had too many abortions, and she had him and abused him and sold him and made him into a child prostitute. Well, he's not even, sold him. The child can't even decide to be a prostitute. It's a total victim. So it all ties together. Like, you can get The Garbage Man, my movie, as an add-on, and that's been out of print since 2009. And
is that it says it's signed, so that's like
I'll
the
sign
DVD?
it. Yeah, I'm going to sign it. Yeah, it's going to be a DVD, and I'm going to sign the slipcover.
Okay.
So it's going to have a different cover than this. I'm still making it. Because I've been having fun with this. I've actually been having a lot of fun. And that's part of why Bill's not done. Because I've been having a lot of fun color correcting it and fixing up the pages so they're going to look as good as I can. And The Garbage Man is a very, very dark, intense film. I got great reviews from Tony Timpone. Said that he'd never seen a serial killer film like that. He said it was utterly chilling. And he told me that face to face. It was great to hear that from the editor of Fango at the Fango show at Chiller in New Jersey. That was such a great thing for me to hear after suffering through so much, because my friends that were my partners on The Garbage Man ripped me off. And they were trying to convince me that I should give up on the film and make that was all garbage, and that I should make a different movie about what happened. And they were trying to cut the movie behind my back to sell it behind my back.
Oh, wow.
And luckily, the first night it doesn't sound lucky at all. The first night I was in Los Angeles to work on The Garbage Man, and I moved out, and my friend, he got wasted at my house. He wouldn't let me take his keys away from him. We actually fought over his keys. We fucking wrestled over his keys, and he got them away from me and went out the door. And he had pulled together a 9-minute cut on an Avid, and so he had a 9-minute rough cut and all the shot notes and edit notes and all that kind of thing. And his cut, he got into a car wreck and almost died. Like, his car wreck was horrible. The car burned. He got pulled out right before it. Boom. And so it all burned. So then Rob, the other guy, he tried to cut it, and they were all trying to convince me the movie was garbage. And I kept telling them, guys, just teach me how to edit and I can cut this. What do you mean you can cut this? You can't just do that. I just can't learn how to paint tomorrow. And I'm like, I spent years learning how to paint, but this is editing. This is different. And it's like comic books. To me, it's like just learning how to put it together. Show me how to run the machine, and I know I can put it together. I know I can do this.
Yeah.
And I did. I cut it in the year 2000, after the last murder trial, because that was the last time I had to deal with a murder trial over Michelle's murder, to keep this guy in jail. And I threw everything I had into it, and The Garbage Man is just hypnotic. It's a disturbing serial killer film, and it's told from the point of view of the serial killer. And it isn't like any other serial killer film. The closest I would say would be Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer, which you definitely got to see.
I wrote it down.
And it's called Clean Shaven. And it's about a weird killer pedo dude. And it's an odd film, and it's got a really great character actor, and I think his last name's Green. And those two are the closest I would say to what Garbage Man is, because Garbage Man is a real, whoa, you better be ready for a dark ride on that. It's a very dark ride, and I know it is. I've watched people get hypnotized by it. Of course, the person who did the film design with me is a witch. And she came from a family of Italian witches. The whole family were witches. They were strega.
Wow. So just looking at these, like, these are really good prices.
You think so? I wanted people to be able to afford this. And instead of trying to be greedy, I sat down and go, okay, what's it going to cost me to print this? I've been doing the research for Build a Bull. You know, I've been looking at different printers. For Bill, I think I'm going to go with Ingram. They've got a good print-on-demand program. So I think, and we're doing trade paperbacks, so we're not doing the usual 32-page or 24-page comic book. These are fat, especially Bill, 334 pages. Holy cow! So I've been learning, and it's been a great learning experience. I really want to thank Deborah Tucci. I want to thank Ethan. I want to thank Dan Fraga. I want to thank Max DeVille. I want to thank all these great people who've been giving me advice on how to do this. They've all been giving me really good advice on how to do this, and I don't always listen to them. I'm sorry, guys. I don't always listen to the guys, but I really appreciate them so much. And Deborah, you know, walked me through everything for like an hour and a half. You know, she took time away from her family to help me with this last year and give me advice. And I've been publishing for 30 years. You know what I mean? I've published so many books and movies and DVDs, and my books have been carried in like Hot Topic. Poems for the Dead was carried in Hot Topic in the mall.
Wow.
So is Still Dead. So I'm so grateful for all the help everybody's given me and all the artists that have volunteered their time, all the guys that have come forward. So I've really been trying to go, okay, let's make a lot of money. Let's get these stretch goals. So I'm going to be posting about the stretch goals tomorrow. I'm going to be putting more stuff in there. I'm going to be updating this thing like bang, bang, bang. It's a fast campaign because I thought it'd be good to do it around the time of Thanksgiving with the cannibal angle. And Netflix kind of made me do it. I was supposed to be finishing Build a Bull right now. I was supposed to be getting Build a Bull to print. But the Netflix special and they really fucking pissed me off with this shit, man. They didn't have to include me in their special at all. They just included my work and my artist's work so they could fucking shit on us. It's the only reason we're fucking in that fucking thing is so these assholes can shit on me and shit on my guys. Well, fuck you, man, because we do good work. That cover that they photoshopped, let me tell you about that guy. The guy who did the artwork for the original Jeffrey Dahmer cover, why is it misspelled? Because the artist is Russian. He's from Russia, okay? He was one of my professors at the U of I. This man is a utter genius. He would
this cover?
Yeah, that cover. He was a genius, utter genius. And he drew Rectum Erectum for Boneyard Press. And he also drew The Further Adventures of Young Jeffrey Dahmer, which is really crazy. And this guy had been through hell to get his family out of Soviet Russia. This dude suffered a major head trauma and a terrible accident where something got jammed into his skull. The Soviet Union wouldn't let him take his portfolio with him to America. So with this terrible injury, he fucking came here. He redrew his entire portfolio when he got to New York. This guy was just one of the most amazing people I've ever met. Awesome guy. Great, great guy. And they're gonna butcher this guy's work, a professor, and we didn't use his real name because he was concerned that the publicity was going to affect his job at the university.
Right.
So, good job, assholes. Threatening a man's livelihood because you don't like a fucking comic book. What an asshole. What a bunch of assholes. So I got furious. So Build a Bull kind of got bumped a little bit, even though it's just about fucking ready to go. I had to get this out there so people can read it and know that none of this is what they're portraying. They are lying through their teeth. They've been lying for 30 goddamn years, and people want to read the book. And, you know, I reread the book recently for John Borowski's Serial Killer Culture, and I thought, you know, this fucking thing's pretty good. This thing is pretty goddamn good. Yeah. Yeah, this is not what I thought it was. I got to walk away from it for a while.
Yeah.
I'm really proud of it. It's good stuff. The Garbage Man is fantastic. And American Horror Story is great. I think we've got great perks, great add-ons, and definitely people.
When are all of your perks and add-ons and stuff going to be on there?
Probably by tomorrow night.
Oh, okay.
That, and I'm going to be adding in stuff as it comes in. Like some of the artwork isn't quite finished.
Well, everybody make sure you go to check at this point tonight.
Yeah, definitely check tonight, guys, because people who sign up for the first 2 days are going to get something special I have planned for you. I've got something really cool that I don't really want to announce, but I've got something very, very cool for everybody who contributes the first 2 days. So we got today and we got tomorrow, and the campaign's like a 21-day campaign. I wanted to get the campaign in and out before Christmas. I also wanted to do it before people got too, you know, with the war in the Ukraine and what's been happening with gas prices and energy costs and inflation. I really wanted to make a good package that people could afford, that you could say, hey, you know what? I'm going to get this for my nephew because he loves true crime. Oh my God, my wife loved that Dahmer Netflix special. This is a perfect Christmas present for her. And it really is a great gift. These are very good gifts to give to people. And I always try to make a quality product. So I'm going to make sure it's well printed, it's well done. This is my thing. It's my thing. So I urge people to keep checking it out. Definitely share it. I need the viewers at home to share. I need you to share this and tell people, hey guys, I contributed. Check this out. Hey, did you see this? Because this is a crowdfund. I need you guys. Yeah. I need your help. It's crowdfunding. I need the crowd to help me out.
Well, and the number one way that anyone still decides if they want to buy stuff is through word of mouth.
Yeah, I think so. And these books are going to surprise people. I'm really proud of them, you know, after so many years. And I'm sold out on just about everything. I've got one first print Jeffrey Dahmer for sale. If anybody wants to find me on my Twitter or my Facebook page, or that's the two best ways, or my Instagram, find me and ask, because I have one first print Jeffrey Dahmer, and there were only 4,000 of those made. And this is the copy that I found at my mom's house. So this has been sitting at my mom's house in a drawer for probably since it was printed in March 1992.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Plague's like special. Are we talking like commemorative dishware?
Well, we do have the bib. If you contribute on Thanksgiving, every first person who contributes for a physical product and on Thanksgiving, you get a bib.
Nice.
One of the perks. Jeffrey Dahmer bib.
That's so funny.
Mm-hmm. We're having fun with this. And the trading cards, they're far different than what people are expecting.
How many are there going to
be?
How many are there going to be?
I'll give you a hint. How many victims are there of Jeffrey Dahmer?
I honestly don't know.
Well, there you go. Somebody can do the research for themselves, because we're going to play the victim card.
That's funny.
Mm-hmm. It's one of the things they criticized me for. You know, they all on the talk shows. Why don't you write a story about the victims? Well, I said, why don't you write that story? Because it's your story to write. And so in answer to them saying, why don't I do something about the victims? Okay, I will. We'll do victim cards.
I like that you can say that too.
Hey, I hope they're happy.
That's like for EGGBEATER, I'm doing recipes because he's a baker, so they're going to be recipe cards. So it's like scrambled brains and pretzeled man and stuff.
Oh, I remember how upset people got when Stephen Biro was publishing. He put out, I think it was Stephen, put out the Dead Baby joke book. It was pretty funny. It was pretty good. It was pretty good. I'm pretty sure it was Stephen that did that. I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah, you know, because I did a story for his cannibal book. Did a cannibal book, and I did one called Preppers, a short. That's something else too I want to do is I want to collect all my short stories into one book, because I've had short stories published throughout the years in lots of different venues, and I'd like to collect that all into one spot. That's a project I want to do. But the big one I want, man, is I want the fucking TV series. I want to do it. It's totally like X-Files meets The Exorcist meets The Omen.
That sounds like it will be crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Are you gonna like mine from your friends to get the actors and everything?
Oh, that's easy. That's really easy, like casting and stuff. A lot of that depends on what happens, like when financing comes through. I'm working on a deal. There's a lot going on in my career right now. It's actually really invigorating. There's a lot of publishers that are interested that want to work with me. There are people that are interested in hiring me to write. You know, if somebody out there wants to hire me to write on something, I can do that. I'm available. You know, I'll make the time because I like money. Money's good, right? Don't we like money? Yeah, I like money. And I write quickly. When I write very, very quickly. I'm a fast, everything I do, I'm like, boom, 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 boom. I move quick. You know, it's just how I am. And then when I hit that point, I'm done. That's like how I write. Like all the stories in An American Horror Story and Poems for the Dead, that stuff's like a seizure. It's like it hits me and it's a seizure. End of rant. Well, it's getting kind of late here. How long are we going to go here, guys? Because I got to make food.
It has been almost 4 hours that you have been kind enough to hang out. So I definitely don't want you to have to starve. I have this image of the life of a man just being like
friend here, Abby here, is getting hungry.
I have this image of the life of a man just being constant hunger. So, and you're kind of freezing now anyway. Well, how do you want to close it out? What do you want to say?
Oh, I stopped moving and I stopped talking.
Oh.
That's what it was. I was thinking, I was thinking about that notion of hunger. I've been a hungry person. Yeah, I'm hungry. I thirst for knowledge. I thirst for excitement. I thirst for art. I thirst for light. I love life. I really like being. This is a great world, and I'm so blessed to be here. I like my country. I like America, and I feel very, very blessed to be here. And people are working hard to divide us, because united they stand, divided they fall, and they like us divided because they like when we fall. And people are paying attention to the wrong things. They're paying attention to the wrong stuff, and they're doing it on purpose. They want us all to argue. They want us to argue about bathrooms, cross-dressing. They just wanted men and women to fight, black and white to fight. They just want us all to fight so they can take advantage of us. And that's a lot of what is the thing with the Dahmer book and what they did. And I'm just it kind of blows my mind how I got tied to this piece of history. Because this book, the thing that people should really understand, these Dahmer books are part of comic book history. They may be the most infamous comic books in comic history right now. 196 million people saw that Netflix special the first week it came out. Think about that, Allie. 196 million. And they don't even know how many people are in the room watching it. Like my friends, a couple bartenders I know were like, hey, Hart, we were watching that. And I was at my mom's house and we sat and we blasted through the first 5 episodes. Bang. And then their mom, they went back home and their mom watched the rest of it. So that's 3 people sitting in the room. So what they mean really is 196 million like plays through there. That's a lot of people have seen that book.
They can't measure eyes.
Yeah. So can you imagine your work has been maligned to that many people in 1 week? You've been shit upon in front of that many people in 1 week. A lot different than some idiot on Twitter talking stupid shit.
Yeah. I can't say that I would be as chill as you appear.
Well, I've been through too much. I've just been through so much, and I know who I am. I know I'm a good man, and so do my friends. I know I'm a good person. I was there for my women. I was there for my mother What else could you ask for? I know what I do. I know who I've been there for. And I was there for my mom, and I was there for my wife, and I was there for Michelle when I could be. I wish I had been able to do more to help her. So I've been there for a lot of people, and a lot of people have been there for me. And I remember who's been there for me, and we have to be there for each other. We're in some very scary, difficult times, and we have to be there for each other. We really do. And I guess that's a great note to kind of end on.
And Richard said, Allie's friendship with Hart grew 3 sizes this day.
That's funny. Well, have you got one more question for me, and then I got to go?
Chat, what do you say? I think a lot of people went to bed.
Yeah, I think so too.
I had down one last one. What are your favorite artists and writers? But that might be too much. So you can always name just one of each.
Comic book writer, movie writer, novelist.
We'll do novelist because I'm primarily a novelist.
That's hard. Wow.
You said it.
Well, I'm such an omnivore. So I'm just going to go down the list. I'm just going to go Stephen King, James M. Cain.
Well, Stephen King's son wrote Black Phone.
Oh, he did? Which one? Joe Hill or Owen King?
Joe.
Okay.
The one that doesn't use his dad's name. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I read one of his books, but I didn't finish it. I haven't read a lot of Joe King stuff or Joe Hill stuff. Some of it, but just not that much.
Yeah, I've read a lot of Stephen King, and I would say this was better than any Stephen King book that I've ever read.
That's tough. I don't know, man. The Shining is one of my favorite books. The original Shining. I really like that book. That's a great book.
Well, The Black Phone was just a short story, so it's not like a book.
Gotcha. Then there's more. Then there's like Andrew Vox, John Skipp and Craig Spector, splatterpunk from the late 80s. So many amazing. Nesbo, I've really been liking Nesbo, the guy who wrote Snowman. Movie sucks, but the books are great. Don Wilson, who wrote The Cartel and wrote Power of the Dog and Border War and Savages, which was a movie that Oliver Stone did. There's so many writers that I like. So many. It's hard to name like one, but I would say King probably walloped me the best at an early age.
At an early age. Okay.
Yeah.
What about artists? Is it too hard because you have so many friends?
Many, and now and then, and I'm friends with so many of them,
Yeah.
I couldn't name one. I couldn't tell you one. There isn't like one. Maybe when I was younger, as a kid, maybe Paul Gulacy from Master of Kung Fu. But that's early 70s. Maybe him when I was a kid. Maybe because I really love those books. I was never going to get bit by a radioactive spider. I was never going to be Batman, but I could be Master of Kung Fu. And that's been a lifelong passion, is learning martial arts.
Perfect. Well, thank you, everyone. It is pretty cool. There's a lot of people who said they stuck through the whole time. Replicant was here the whole time.
Nice.
I know it's been it's almost 4 hours that we've been doing this. I thought that it was going to be 2, and you were going to say, "Okay, thanks, bye."
I was about there. Fun. I was about there, and then I got going, and I started talking, and then I think Abby might have went and lied down.
Well, thank you.
Now I got to figure out some food. I'm starving.
I'll if I have any questions about the article, I'll just send them your way.
Yeah.
And
part of the reason not all the perks were there is because some of the perks are like stretch goals. Do you get what I mean? So I'm going to be posting about a lot of that. And I always like to keep people guessing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Keep them guessing.
Well, we'll go back and share, like I'll go back and share every time there's a thing, and everybody also should share and check everything out.
Yeah.
Do I have any mods left that can get rid of this friggin' sex bot? Like, what the fuck?
Sex bot?
Yeah.
There's a sex bot? Oh, Jesus. Where did that come from? That's brand new. Jesus Christ. All right. Well, it's been great talking to you like this, Allie. This has been a pleasure. Folks at home, I definitely need your help on this campaign. Share, get the word out, get yourself some kick-ass perks. The books are great. When you see these alternative covers, because you know the alternative covers are coming in, you know what I mean, as they go.
Yeah.
And this is exciting for me. So you guys, thanks for tuning in. Dan, it was great to have you on board, and all your other listeners and viewers in the chat room was fun. Thank you so much, Allie.
Thank you for coming on. I'm gonna press end now.
Okay.
And